Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to a very special primetime gaming with Mr. Boomstick and, of course, this group of friends, brothers, fellow men, fellow gamers, fellow best friends, I would even dare say. We are celebrating the third year in a row that we are doing primetime gaming. Our first episode was 9/9/2019, folks. And after as many episodes as we've done, we're still here. And it's certainly not because of my tenacity to want to do these shows or the incredible cast that I work with each and every week. It's thanks to the incredible community that gives us this space to talk about gaming. And that is exactly what we are going to do, ladies and gentlemen. We have two unbelievably large topics. I can almost guarantee you that this podcast, because of the amount of special voices that we have on it, is going to go into a bit of overtime because, listen, there's a lot to get into. Obviously, the main crux of the conversation is going to be the rumors that Microsoft could potentially already be in talks to purchase Take-Two Interactive. Folks, that is something that might happen. Everyone has a different opinion, specifically Everborn Saga, who always brings it 100 when he changed. He's the voice that is the pushback for a lot of us on here, and we love it, and we think we're gonna have a great conversation. We're also gonna open up the show with, of course, Sony's 180-degree reversal on giving its players the upgrade to, of course, Horizon Forbidden West for the price of free. Unfortunately, as exciting as that is, and I will give Sony the credit for doing it, that's not. They're not off the hook, folks. If you read the PlayStation blog, as soon as it's done saying we will honor our commitment to our players, but moving forward, it's going to be $10. And I think that, and this comes directly from Everborn Saga, he said this numerous times, when the other side of the aisle is doing the exact opposite of what one company is doing, you as a player have to demand better. Something we were talking about in the green room. But let's get into the introductions, and then we will get into these topics. We're going to start with first, Kay Asante. First of all, another fabulous show that you guys do is the Gaming Circle podcast, which you do every Saturday, and of course On the Reel, which is about the pop culture in movies and film. And welcome, brother. Thank you so much for being here, and we look forward to your next episode.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thanks, chat. Thank you, guys. Thanks, panelists. It's always great to be here. Especially great this evening because there's some really interesting topics to get into. So yeah, thanks to Mr. Badbit for joining us over the weekend. We had a really interesting conversation with the Mr. Everborn Saga over here. It was really fun. We talked PlayStation and all that stuff. We actually got the first half of that conversation started, and then of course later down the line they gave us the second piece of information. We'll get into that. I'll tell you, I hadn't bought my statue, but after the second piece of the information, I did end up buying the statue. So we'll get into that. But thank you guys so much for joining us. It's gonna be fun today. So let's get into it.
Yes, and next up, your co-host on both of the shows that I just mentioned moments ago, the Everborn Saga, also known as the Slanderous One. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
What's happening? It's
funny that without giving it away, how was Shang-Chi?
It was amazing. Top 10 MCU.
Oh man.
Maybe second best origin story in the MCU.
Wow.
And
don't make me go risk germs.
Hand-to-hand combat in the MCU. Top marks all
They're
around.
They're making me risk germs to go see this, man. I gotta go see it. Oh,
I'm waiting, brother. Me and Mrs. Boom. We thanks to Everborn Saga. True thing. He posted that he got together with King and his family, which was amazing. And of course, Everborn Saga had offered the ability to meet with him and his family. And if any other time in the world, Mrs. Boomstick is pinning up her hair, we're throwing on the jeans and we're heading out. But we're just so not comfortable with the world the way it is. And, as much as I want to see Shang-Chi, I will wait until it's on Disney Plus. But I'm glad that you enjoyed it, dude.
But I was gonna say a second ago, it's funny that you called me the dissenting opinion because I was told today that I was an Xbot and that all Xbots have groupthink,
Group thinking.
we're
Hive
all
minds, what you're saying.
Yes, we're like the Borg apparently, and we can't think for ourselves.
I love
Oh,
it.
we're assimilating people, are we?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. We all get our talking points from Uncle Phil, and then we
Nice.
go out and we just regurgitate those talking points because we can't think for ourselves. So here's to assimilation.
Yeah, well, listen, you know what? We are all bots in our own way.
Well, you should say it. Resistance is futile.
Resistance is futile. We should all say it in cadence.
Yeah, exactly.
It actually works. So, speaking of the of voices, one of which is not only funny. He is one of the most powerful voices in Canada. Simply where, if there would have been snow, avalanches last year would have happened all the time, especially when he gets on his high horse. Middle-aged gamer guy. What's going on, brother? How you feeling?
I am doing good. I've been really quiet all week. I wasn't doing any guest shows this week at all. And so I basically was doing what I always do. Listen to other people's shows and talk to myself as I'm talking to for example, I just finished the Gaming Circle podcast, right? And you got Asante and Everborn carrying on with each other like a married couple. And I'm talking to the cell phone, and I'm going, Asante, you're wrong. And I'm like washing dishes and stuff. Right?
Does that mean I was right, man?
Oh, here we go.
Okay, hold on a second, Everborn. Before I even get into this, let me tell you something. I'm not sure I can do a show with Everborn anymore. Not only is he an X-bot, not only is he slanderous, I hear he's cheating on his barber. I can't deal with people like this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. It's unbelievable. But anyways, Boom, it's great to be here. By the way, I just got out of the theater from Shang-Chi myself about an hour ago with my son. Fantastic movie. I put it in the top 10 as well.
Wow,
and,
excellent.
What else did I do this week? I 100% did Psychonauts 2. I got my 1,000 out of 1,000. It's funny. I'm watching the gameplay on the screen. I'm like, boom, you just walked by a sidecar. Turn around. But, too late. But it's all good. Guys, we have a hell of a show for you guys tonight. So let's get right into this.
Real quick, I want to give a shout out because this is the podcast that I think more ears need to get in on. Now, of course, I'm talking about the Xbox era. We've had OBM on here numerous times. Love his ideology on the industry. He is as real as they come. I like to consider him a friend. Would love to have him come back. Special Nick is here in the chat, and obviously, Special Nick, brother, we thank you so much for tuning in. Obviously, I'm a big fan of yours, and he says, and I quote, and I bring it up on screen so everyone can see, I can't wait for Phil to buy the whole industry. You know what? Me too. Me too. Papa Phil needs to buy the whole industry, including Sony and Nintendo. But yeah, all jokes aside, listen, folks, we're going to talk about a potential happening. It's rumored. Jez Corden has talked about it. Special Nick has, said he has heard rumblings in the background before. This is not the first time we're having this conversation. But again, it is speculation. There is I don't have any backdoor, rumor sources that are telling me, boom, yeah, go with this. We're just going to have a conversation of what if. What If is a series that's running on Disney Plus. If you haven't seen it, my God, please watch What If. But listen, let's continue with the introductions. Mags, great to have you here. Of course, Tempest's son making his grandiose return. Tempest, how the hell are you, brother? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm doing good, man. Had a good dinner. I'm ready to get into these topics. And on the 10th, a little game called Tales of Arise is coming out.
I know one of your most anticipated.
Absolutely. And you know what? I think I had to try to remember this, but I think the last game I bought physical was Tomb Raider in 2013, the definitive edition on Xbox One. I think that was my last physical game. Well, I bought the collector's edition for Tales of Arise. That's how hyped I am for it. So it's right around the corner, baby. Can't wait.
Yeah, it certainly looks like a game right up your alley. Game looks fantastic. I don't necessarily know. I am so inundated with my backlog.
You have too much to play.
It's just, and here's the thing, folks. I'll say it again live on the air. Animal Crossing, it's real. Mrs. Boom, I have to say we've been playing together, and it is it's so great playing with your spouse, especially for someone that's, she's my best friend, right? So it's sitting down. I'm playing portable. I very rarely played handheld, and I got the kickstand going. I got it plugged into the wall. I'm having a great time. She's on the big screen, and we're just doing our thing, and we're enjoying it. But of course, as you can see, Psychonauts, wow, 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 wow. And real quick, I got to give a shout out. To Cotton McCast. Obviously, he recently joined the Thursday edition of the Xbox Factor podcast. He brought something to my attention. I don't have it to bring it up on the screen, but apparently, head of the studio, head of Double Fine Productions, liked and retweeted the Xbox Factor podcast, which is
nice.
That's
crazy.
awesome.
Very nice.
It's listen, it's again, this is a self-contained small channel. I'm not even at 9,000 subs yet. We'll get there eventually. I think by pure mathematics, we'll hit 10K eventually. But to have a studio head who I'm a fan of, like and favorite and retweet my small show, it's a big deal. But Temper Son, thank you so much for being here. And of course, last and no way least, the best beard in the business. We actually have a real life Viking with us today. Wandering Dutch, my brother, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm good. Very good indeed. I'm actually looking forward to seeing this week what Sony do produce, but they haven't had, outside of eventually announcing a showcase, they haven't had the best of weeks on the 180s, and we'll get into that. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I've got a few shows this week. Of course, I was meant to have 2 last week, but one got postponed to this week. But I've got ACG on Wednesday, and then of course,
that's big. ACG is a good dude. Very prominent person within our gaming circle, if you will. And that's a big get for your show. I cannot wait to listen. And once again, a big shout out to Tim Schafer. Again, I don't think he's listening. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Tim's listening.
Never know. You never know.
But you never know. And obviously, high marks across the board for Psychonauts 2. It's a masterpiece. Please, if you have not played this game, and I'm not saying it because Tim might be listening, I'm quite enjoying myself with it. I know that, of course, middle-aged gamer guy who's making us all look like terrible gamers just continues to platinum and completely just... Kay Asante, I see you shaking your head. I think we're going to have to remove this man from our friends.
I'm telling you, man. I'm removing him from the friends list. It's just,
when I get obsessed with something like a game like Psychonauts or whatever game I'm playing, I just can't stop till it's done. I almost treat it like homework. Like I look
at my wife. I'm like, does this guy eat? Like, what does he do? Like, he has no family. What does he do with himself?
To his right arm and just games.
Man,
the bag is empty. That's just what
once the kids and the wife are in bed, that's all I'm doing. I'm down there.
Oh man,
I go to my factory and I get to work.
Listen, I love it. Real quick, the first super chat of this evening comes to us from a good friend of the show, Flame. He drops $5 Super Chat, says, good evening, everyone. Thanks for helping me through 2 hours of work tonight. Hope you all have a great show. Look out for Lost in Random on the 10th.
Yeah, that's a good one on my radar. I love that game.
People have been talking about The Lake. I got to get my hands on that. I downloaded it. It's just the backlog is gross, folks. It's I just don't have enough time in a day, and I'm retired. Could you imagine the nerve of me to even say that? But listen, folks, let's dive right into this. The one thing that I appreciate about the community, that I praise, is when, as a group, lines are erased, and we come out and we talk about and discuss openly an issue. And of course, I am referring to what happened with Horizon Forbidden West. Now, earlier this year, Microsoft made what we all claimed and we all admitted, and we all went out there and went up against Microsoft for this, the biggest blunder in what seems like years, because they've been doing a lot of really good work. And that was, they announced that Xbox Live Gold was going to double in price per year. And what did we do as an industry, as a bunch? And I'm including the gaming industry. I'm talking about what did we all do? We all in one big voice said, "This is wrong. This cannot happen. This is bad PR times 10." And within 12 to 14 hours, it was reversed, and Microsoft went back on it. Now, should they have made the mistake in the first place? No. But did they fix it? Because we went as a group, as a unified voice, and said, we will not stand for this kind of shenanigans, and it stopped. Well, something very similar happened last week. It was announced that, of course, Horizon Zero Dawn had 9 editions, folks. A total of 9 editions spanning from the PlayStation 4 to the PlayStation 5, where you logistically had industry people that a lot of people look towards that normally back PlayStation came out against them. And on Friday morning's Breakfast with Boom, we had an incredible, an adult conversation where we called Sony out for it. Now, I'm sure no one at Sony gave a flying F what Mr. Boomstick and my panel on my small channel had to say. And I get it. But it was still a conversation that we had and other podcasts were having. And we know that Jim Ryan came out, he did his PR thing, and he changed for Horizon Forbidden West, which releases in February of 2022, that PlayStation 4 owners will be able to upgrade for the price of free when it comes out. And that was the right move. But folks,
wait, there's more.
Oh, yeah, there's more. And unfortunately, recently with Sony, there always seems to be that and but. And folks, I wish I could say that was the end of the happy ending, happy story. Everyone's happy. It's unicorns, it's rainbows, it's cotton candy, it's wonderful. Turns out that as great as that story is, and it needed to happen in the biggest way, and it did, it's not the end of the conversation. What was immediately written right after the blog was that moving forward, every game is going to be $10 to upgrade. They're going to offer gamers the ability to upgrade for that $10.
Nay, the privilege.
Yeah, the privilege. Right. The privilege of upgrading it. Now, I'm going to go first to Everborn Saga because I don't want to, misquote you, and I certainly don't want to take credit for it. You have said on this show many times that the problem is we're not complaining because we're Xbots, which I think is it's stupid. That's an idiotic term. Just like ponies. I don't like that either. I think they're both insulting, and we don't do that here on this show. You said, and please correct me if I'm wrong, when the other side is doing the free upgrade and you're charging, it's a bad look no matter how you look, no matter how you slice the pie.
Okay, so I do think the situation's a bad look, but the quote we're talking about is, I think that it is bad in comparison to. I think Sony can. I think if they're, because remember, they're serving their customers, and their customers are happy with this. And if they weren't happy with this, they'd make a change. For example, they weren't happy with no upgrade path, or being forced into buying the $80 version if you don't have a PS5 now. So they made a change. But I think Sony's customers are happy to pay that extra $10. Now, why they're happy with that, I have no idea. I keep saying I find it strange that this is the only industry where price hikes come with praise from the consumer, right? When I went to see well, that's a bad example because we rented the theater, but the point is, when I go to the movies or when Netflix raises their prices, yes, I'm going to pay it because I want the content, but I'm not happy about it. I don't go and post and say, hey, I'm supporting $1 billion Netflix, or Disney is going to fail if they don't get my extra $3 for a movie ticket, right? It's only in the video game in the video game community discourse where we do that, and it's strange. Well, it's not strange. I know exactly why we do it, right? Or and I say we because it is all we. Like some people may have a preference here and a preference there, but we're all on the same team, and that's the thing. I feel like we're always. I don't mean us on this panel, but I'm saying as a community, everybody's demanding better from the other side, and they're mad that they've sort of made these boogeymen, these straw men that don't demand better, right? So I think as a whole, whenever the community comes together and stops pointing fingers at each other, we see change in real time. Look how fast Sony backtracked on the Vita store. Look how fast Microsoft backtracked on that Xbox Live pricing, and look how fast Sony backtracked on this, what do you call it thing? So if we did less pointing fingers at, well, this community doesn't do that and that community doesn't do this, then we could I think we could see more progress in the community. That being said, there are people that try to justify this $10 thing, right? There are people that specifically refuse to talk about it using whataboutism logic, saying, why didn't you go after Microsoft for not putting Flight Sim on the Xbox One, right? And even though it's not remotely the same thing and you can play it through xCloud, or you will be able to play it through xCloud, none of those details matter. They just sort of wanted to use that. So we do get into a problem on either side of this thing when we look at these companies as if they can do no wrong, right? And the reason people are happy to pay this extra money, and we need to be clear here, right? Sony says, okay, we are going to reverse course. And then in the next sentence, they said, hey, you made us reverse course on this. Now that's a new standard. You're going to pay these things. Now we don't know, we don't know this. Who's to say there won't be? I guess there won't be, right? Like, did they say like going forward, all games, there's no free next gen upgrade?
Yes. All games moving forward. Multi-gen, $10 extra.
So that's the thing, right? People are going to say, I'm happy to pay for my content, this, that, and the third, and I don't want to rent games and this, which is a different argument from physical forever, right? I get it that there are collectors. There are people that collect vinyl records. There are people that collect DVDs and Blu-rays, and there are people that want to collect physical games. So if that's your stance, cool. But there is a separate audience that, because Game Pass has become as popular as it has, they feel the need to push back against that, right? And the inverse of having a subscription service that includes all these games is buying games outright, because that is what the company that provides their plastic of choice does. So they have to go out of their way and make a statement and say, I paid for this game and I paid $70, right? And that to me is unfortunate, because, and this is not to say not games, there are no games that are worth $70. And I brought this up on the Gaming Circle podcast this weekend, right? None of these corporations are your friend. If Microsoft could charge $70 for games, they would. And the reason they don't is because of their PC day and date strategy. Because everyone knows that no one in the PC community would pay $70 for these games, right? But there's dual entitlement. So I cannot say that if you buy the game on Xbox, you'll get it on PC, or vice versa. If you buy it on PC, you'll have the entitlement for Xbox and then charge different prices for Xbox and PC, right? That's the reason Xbox is still pushing this $60 games, which is great for us, and I'm happy for it. But there is a business reason. It is not because they're nice people. Sony does not, brother. Right? Yes. It's not show friends. It's show business, right? Sony's not your friend. Microsoft's not your friend. All this comes down to is They have the games. We want the games. F you. Now, however we can get those games, we will do that. And don't tell me support the devs because Microsoft or Sony needs your money, right? So I go on that long rant to say, this gaming community is not the whole world. This is very small, but we do have a certain level of power when we speak with one voice. And I don't mean the Borg that people try to say if you're an Xbox fan, you only speak the Xbox talking points. I mean together as a gaming community. And it doesn't matter what you prefer. We can make these changes if we just got out of the circular firing squad.
No,
so that's my rant. I apologize.
I mean, listen, no rant. It's a conversation that we are all having, and it's a good one at that. Asante, before I bring you into the conversation, the blog post update that, of course, Everborn was referring to, I have in front of me, and I want to read it verbatim. And it says this. This is directly from PlayStation.blog. Thursday was supposed to be a celebration of Horizon Forbidden West and the amazing team at Guerrilla working to deliver it on February 18th, 2022. However, it's abundantly clear that the offerings we confirmed in our pre-order kickoff missed the mark. Last year, we made a commitment to deliver free upgrades to our cross-gen launch titles, which included Horizon Forbidden West. While the pandemic's profound impact pushed Forbidden West out of its launch window,
Boom! I'm sorry, 1 second.
Yes.
I thought Sony wasn't affected by the pandemic.
Well, apparently now they're publicly.
I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I
apologize. Great point. While the pandemic's profound impact pushed Forbidden West out of the launch window we initially envisioned, we will stand by our offer. Players who purchase Horizon Forbidden West on PlayStation 4 will be able to upgrade to the PlayStation 5 version for free. Now, this is something that Microsoft does on a regular basis called Smart Delivery, and it's almost expected. Microsoft pushes this envelope. This is apparently something new for Sony.
One thing, I was told that Smart Delivery was a gimmick.
So apparently, yes, that was the running thing. Those same people are quiet these days regarding the gimmick tree, if you will, of Smart Delivery, but they continue. I also want to confirm today that moving forward, PlayStation first-party exclusives, cross-gen titles, newly releasing on PS4 and PlayStation 5, both digitally and physically, will offer a $10 USD digital upgrade option from PS4 to PS5. This will apply to the next God of War, Gran Turismo, and any other exclusive cross-gen PS4, PS5 title published by Sony Interactive Entertainment. This comes directly from us, to us, from Jim Ryan, President and CEO of SIE. And because they don't know how to get out of the crossfire, they add an asterisk. And there's always the asterisk with Sony. To upgrade to an eligible PS4 game on disc to the digital PlayStation 5 version, you will need to own a PlayStation 5 console with a disc drive. PS4 game discs cannot be used with the PlayStation 5 digital edition, obviously. Asante, this was a win for gamers, but a loss at the bigger picture. Tell people why.
Yeah, so first off, I will say usually I enjoy the back and forth with Mr. Everborn Saga. I hate going after him this time around because basically I'm 100% in agreement with every point that this man has made right now. I was going to say exactly the same thing, and that's not fun because I like arguing with him, and in this instance I cannot. But no, for sure, this whole $70 game thing has been BS for a long time. Is it necessary? No, it is not. Can they justify it? Sure they can. Is it really justifiable? No, it's not. But still, because there's a world in which the console players aren't connected to PC players and all that, so it can be like, well, they're a different market than these guys here. They can handle being screwed, paying the a-hole tax versus the PC player who's just like, nah, bruh, I know how my specs work. I know how my hardware works. If you buy me a TV, if I buy a TV and it has a remote, every time I click that button, I'm not charging you. You're not charging me extra. That's part of the package that I paid for day one, right? That's how people are, right? When it comes to this whole thing, this whole Forbidden West thing, I will preface this by saying I'm a huge fan of the games. I've beaten it on PC, on PlayStation 4, and I bought it again on PC. I love the story. I was one of those, and I'm in a rare breed. I know I was one of those who did not play Breath of the Wild right when it came out. I actually had played it initially on Wii U. Yes, I'm one of those aliens.
Shame on you, sir.
Yes, I had the Wii U copy. So when it came up against Breath of the Wild, when Horizon did, I was still playing Breath of Horizon. So I actually gave it the attention it deserved. When you play it against Breath of the Wild, it just loses its steam. So just don't do that. But needless to say, I played it. I love it. To the point where when this time around, when it was coming around, I was like, oh, I'm there day one. I'm super excited. Then they show you all the 8-9 different editions, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I will say the difference between the monster statue and the medium monster statue was a little bit derivative. I'm just like, why are we going this far? What are we doing? It kind of speaks to a narrative that's building about Sony with their nickel and diamond thing a little bit. And, y'all can't seem to help yourselves for some reason. Long story short, eventually after they came out and they said, what they said, they took it back. And, I ended up buying the $200 version.
I didn't like the $250 version. It looked
I didn't like the big. It looked exactly. So I ended up with the.
So, yes.
That's right. Yeah. So I'm a huge fan, and I'm going to support the game. I love the game. It's going to be awesome. It's just as Everborn has said, which frankly no one should really be surprised about, because this was really a known commodity, right? They hadn't officially come out and said, okay, what do you call it? Gran Turismo, $10 extra. God of War, $10 extra. They hadn't literally listed them off, but we kind of knew that moving forward, if you want the PS5 version of a PS4 game, even if it is PS4 or whatever, you will be paying that $10 extra, right? That's a conversation that we have all been having on this show for quite some time. They have been training us, right? We've said this multiple times. They have been training us to accept this, right? And myself, I've said it, Everborn has said it, on the days where we don't look at each other and go, it's your fault, no, it's your fault, and we actually point our fingers where they belong, actually change happens, right? Yeah. Even on the PlayStation side. This is the second time that has happened. First time was the Vita store and all that, right?
Yes.
So I mean, the problem I have with all of this is, and I think I saw Mav in the chat saying this, and I completely agree with him. People were too quick to accept this when it first started. And now there's the back and forth going, well, we really shouldn't, but you're too late. You're too late. When we should have been arm in arm as brothers and sisters saying, hey, this is crap. Look at the PC people. It doesn't matter how. I'm sorry, go ahead. What were you saying?
I said, we already promised you this.
Yeah.
You pay me.
It's already too late.
Your COVID unemployment benefits ran out.
Yeah.
F you. Pay me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
lost your job. F you. Pay me. Everybody else is $60. F you.
Goodness.
Pay me.
Right? This is seriously what's happening. I mean, and we never took the proverbial boot off the neck of Microsoft, so they never even had a thought about this being a factor in the equation, right? But because this whole thing started, and when it started, those who have vested interests in knocking the other guy, right, were using it as talking points. Oh yeah, we pay more because our games are better. That was the beginning of the middle of the end for y'all who like your wallets. Because they'll go, oh yeah, like they said,
and that's the only reason this is happening,
yes,
right? It
exactly.
It's
the only reason.
In order for the console warrior to get a leg up in their arguments on Twitter,
yes,
they've basically gone
against
a negative
and turn it into a positive.
Interest.
That's right.
To say that I'll pay this only because it's in the inverse.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And the truth is, we can all be on this show and say, look, these games are absolutely fantastic. If you're a gamer like me, you want to be playing those games, 100%, right? We can all be together and say that, right? We can say that. And then also say, hey, PlayStation gamer, maybe you don't want to be full-throated, pause, in your adoration for all of this, because all you're doing is basically emptying your own pocket at this point.
I do want to clarify something though, right?
Please, go ahead.
And OBM brought this up in the chat. Like,
it's a big shout out to OBM in the chat, by the way.
Devs can charge whatever they want. If you told me God of War or Horizon is $70, I'm not going to argue with you. I know that I'm going to play it. I know that it's enough. I happen to not think Returnal was worth 70, but it's a case by case basis.
That's the record. That's the record right there. And I will say that for the record, and to make it clear for OBM exactly, and he's absolutely right. The standard that's being set by Sony to say that all of our games start at $70 because it's PS5, that's the BS that I call. Okay, if you tell me that, like, I don't know, Iki Island is worth $40 extra, I say, here's my wallet, take it, right? If you tell me Iki Island is worth $30 extra, but because I had the privilege of owning more expensive hardware, now it's $40 extra, that's where I call BS. That has nothing to do with the developers and what they choose to charge for it. Tell me what it's worth, and I will pay you for it. But when you're literally like blatantly trying to teach me that, oh yeah, PS5 games are worth more, especially considering that I'm a dude with a 3080 and I've been playing games on PC forever, as a lot of us have been. Doesn't matter what kind of PC you have. PC has been doing this the right way for years. So you trying to put the blinds over our eyes is absolutely insane to me. That's the problem here. And Everborn, you said this before, and you were right as well on that. It's the standard, right? Because Microsoft has broken said standard, now people looking around going, this doesn't smell too good. Back in the day when they were conforming to all those other standards, this is just the way it would have been, right? It would have continued. This is status quo. All of a sudden, the competitors now looking around, and the mistake Sony is doing here is, like I said this on the show on Saturday, they have built up a lot of political capital, like the right way, right? Having the best games, having the best service, having awesome kick-ass, all that. So they built up loyalty, that's what I'm calling the political capital. They built up all this trust in the community. And now they're spending that political capital. But they're spending it in the most shadiest of ways, stretching all of the goodwill of the community and going, yeah, we should be paying 70. Yeah, because they say so. I mean, how far can this go before people's eyes start opening to the, hey, maybe this is not in our best interest that they're doing this? I know, Everborn, you have something to say. You're muted. Speak.
My bad. Yeah, no. No, but that's the thing. It is not. It is the going against your own interest. But again, it's not. I want to drive it home again. This is not about the $70. This is not about the price of the game. It is just the will to accept.
It's about the standards set by the manufacturer and the consumer's will to accept it just because the manufacturer said so.
But it's not just because the manufacturer said so. It's because the competition is doing something different.
Sure. Because that can be used as a differentiator in the competition. So all of a sudden that becomes a benefit instead of a detriment.
If you talk to any like casual, like they're not in the Twitter streets with us, and you tell them this game's $70, they're like, okay, I'm gonna buy it, but that sucks.
That sucks. Expensive. That's right.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's really what my whole point here is when we go against our own self-interest. And I had another point, but I forgot it while I was trying to figure out how to get off mute. So when I remember it, I will jump back in.
Go ahead, man. But that's what I think about it. Long story short, this happens over and over again. When we as a community come together and speak with one voice, changes are made. This whole $70 100%. Thing was bubbling a long time. Had we done what we did with Horizon then, that I'm not to say that, all of a sudden they hear you and everything's gone. No. The people have more, and we've had this conversation too. When it comes to this stuff, the people have more power than you think. as long as you speak in a unified voice.
Right.
You know, you console war back and forth for too long and let the ink dry, and now you're looking at your wallet going, I kind of don't like this. Yeah, it's too late now. Next time, maybe, you know, grab a brother's hand and say, yeah, you know, you may be an Xbox player, I may be PlayStation, or vice versa, but we can both agree that this is just not it. Right, this is not it, and we should all get out there and let the powers that be know respectfully that this is not it. You know, you want to cost me $70? Give me a game. Tell me a game like the next Last of Us 2, The Last of Us 3 will be $70. Hey, take the wallet, right?
Yes.
And then when Returnal's next version comes out, maybe that becomes $50 or $60. Take my wallet. That is fine. But setting the standard because so you choose rather than letting the developers choose what the value of it is, that's a problem.
I remember what I was going to say.
Go ahead, Everborn.
So, and again, dissenting opinion here, just cross-examining the witness. I think Sony will be fine. I don't.
Of course they will be. I'm not saying they won't.
No. What I'm saying is, you said that they were spending political capital.
Yes, they are spending political.
I don't think.
I don't think that this political capital they're spending here is what will kill them. But this is death by 1,000 cuts. It's happening more and more and more. And every time you hear good news, it's always shrouded with some kind of BS of this nature.
But again, it is not going to stop. And I know you're saying it will all add up. But what I'm saying is, if the customers are happy with that, then are they really spending political capital? Because when I hear spending political capital,
we could talk about, but we're not going to know until potentially months, years later whether or not this hurt the game. Listen, I want to finish KS on this point because I got to bring Middle Age Gaming before I forget my Mag. I want to bring you in specifically because you have been very vocal about how you love PlayStation but you hate Sony.
Yep,
you said that numerous times.
Yep.
This is another move by Sony and we all sit here as gamers and we question it, right? We ask the question. No one's pointing fingers. No one's calling people ponies or bots or anything stupid like that. We're having a conversation, and I think these kinds of conversations, they need to happen because these kinds of conversations, just like Kay Asante said, they eventually evolve change. Right? That is a fact. Okay. Now, the one thing that I can attest to is a move like this is for Sony proper, because not saying that Sony's games don't sell. There are only see the problem. I don't remember who said it on this panel, but Sony is trying to be Nintendo, and they're not going to get there. Nintendo's 1-to-1, meaning console sales and said game, are numbers unlike anybody in the industry. Okay, they have 50 million consoles and 40 plus million people have Zelda Breath of the Wild 1. When the new HD console eventually releases, there'll be a 1-to-1 with Breath of the Wild 2. There'll be a 1-to-1.
There was almost a 2-to-1 with Breath of the Wild when the Switch first launched, which was nuts.
Consoles. It's unheard of, folks. Right? What's the problem with Sony proper is that they spend a lot of money on these games, and the quality speaks for itself. Listen, you can say whatever you want. You don't like the over-the-shoulder stuff. Boom does. I've talked about Sony. Me being why I own a PlayStation 5 is because of that kind of genre. I like the single-player, story-driven, adult-themed games. That's what Boom digs. Horizon Zero Dawn, one of my favorite new IPs. Horizon Forbidden West is probably going to be in my Game of the Year talk or potentially top 10 of 2022. I love Aloy. I love the world. I love everything about it. I'm very excited. So excited that I bought the $200 collector's edition. Okay? But the problem with Sony is that the very large voice that are these trolls in the industry, in the gaming community, talk about the games, but don't necessarily actually play them, because only games like God of War and Spider-Man have these unbelievable 20 million attach rate stories. That's not every one of their IPs. And Horizon Zero Dawn, it sold well, but Sony is banking on these extra $10 per sale to make up for the fact that they may not sell to a lot of people, because even some of the biggest Sony proponents didn't like Horizon Zero Dawn because they didn't like the side missions, which I thought were great. They didn't bother me at all. There's, very, very Assassin's Creed-esque. Go find the guy's leg. He can't work with a crutch. Go find it. I enjoyed that mission. It didn't bother me any. I just, whatever. Where do you fall on my potential statement about how they are potentially looking to make up this extra $10 per sale on the PlayStation 5 for potential sales that they may not make on this game? Is there something to that?
Yeah, there is, and as we were talking about in previous shows, when we talk about the PlayStation 4 era, which I would have to think was one of their most, at least critically acclaimed eras.
Yes.
Their number one sellers were still less than 20% of the gaming populace. If I know that number, Sony knows that number. You know what I'm saying? So they know, they could see the attach rate of the games, whatever else, and they're looking at it and they're like, well, we're not getting, and you're right, you brought the Nintendo thing. However, the one thing I will say with the Nintendo thing is Nintendo doesn't have any competition. And so, therefore, they can seemingly get away what they want. They don't have a Sega going up against them. Sony does have competition, but it almost seems like they're ignoring them, which is a fatal mistake. Because Microsoft's going in with big guns blazing. And when we talk about in the second half of the show, possibly even bigger guns blazing. I almost said bigger buns. Bigger guns blazing, right?
I had the pause ready.
I know. It was ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And it's seemingly like they're going in this different direction, which I'm starting to dub, by the way, the Japanese business model. Okay, because the Sony's doing it, Nintendo's doing it, and they're just doing their own thing. They're just like, this is what we do, this whatever. But then you look at like the North American and European markets of how they run business. Now it's all service-based, certainly a lot cheaper, a lot more affordable. They don't treat it as like, a single entity, like, oh, you just have to buy this. Where now it's a service industry, right? You got your Spotifys, you've got your Netflix, you've got your Disney Pluses, and on and on and on. I don't have to go through all that. But that's what I'm getting at. Now, when it comes to this Sony situation, like what just happened with the reversal, when you say sorry to somebody and you don't mean it?
I do it all the time, man.
100% what it felt like. And I think that the only reason why they did it is because they got caught. When a kid cries when they did something wrong and then you give them crap for it, but they're only crying because they actually just got caught? Because if they didn't get caught, they weren't going to cry about what they just did. The thing is, if they actually
story of a true parent.
Right. Now, here's the thing. If they actually cared about what they had just done, they wouldn't have tried this to begin with, because they got lawyers for days. They could have gone back in all those pages and go, you said this last year. Should we cover our asses here? What's going on? Don't worry about it. They probably won't even remember. The internet doesn't forget, folks. Remember that.
It was a quick Google search. Yeah. So they definitely knew it.
But it took one guy to put it out there going, hey, remember this? And then it started to spread like wildfire, right? Anyways, another thing I wanted to just bring up quickly was, I think Asante brought it up, actually, and Everborn. The most important thing that was said in the last 3 years in this industry, which is going to become a talking point for this entire generation, was E3 2019, when Phil Spencer said it, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, all your games moving forward with the Xbox Series X will be done for free. And one guy in the back clapped like this. And because nobody understood the impact of that statement.
Yes.
Fast forward to 2 years later, the impact of that statement is monstrous. Because I think that,
Mag, was that guy you in the back clapping?
When he said that, I was like, okay, isn't that what PCs do? I figured that was the status quo. I figured that's what was coming, right? That's what we're doing moving forward. And then when Sony came out and said, oh, no, that's what everybody else is doing. This is what we're doing. And then that's when that smart delivery and that whole announcement became really important. The other thing is that I think the reversal of the situation, some people said it like this. Maybe some people may not agree with me. That's fine. A lot of people are saying, well, actually, you should thank possibly the neutrals, if that even exists, neutrals and the Xbox community for actually probably bringing this to light more than the PlayStation community. And you know what? To some extent, not all, because I know like guys like Mr. Badbit and stuff like that, he'll call that stuff out right away.
Yeah, he sure
However, there is a subsection of those PlayStation diehards who didn't say a damn word. In fact, they were defending moves like this. They were defending it. And I think they don't like to do this. And I think they will fall in line. And I think they will continue to pay more is because I think in their eyes, as silly as it sounds, is that they don't want to look weak or foolish, compared to their stance as how they've stood so far. They say this, that, and the other thing, whatever about PlayStation 1. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good. And if Sony says something negative, they're going to think that that's a dent on their character. And I think that a lot of people have too much pride that they don't understand that, like, when someone does something wrong, you could call them out on it. I have no problem calling out Xbox. I've done it multiple times.
We all have done that.
Right? We've all done it.
Yes.
Because we don't have that pride to bruise us. You know what I mean? They're just saying, like, what's the problem here? And I think a lot of them have that mental block where they're just like, I can't call it out because I'm going to look like a jackass now because I've been saying all these things or whatever. But you're not. All you're going to do is actually going to come across as a lot more genuine. And the thing is, Asante said it too when they're talking about how, they've banked up this reputation, Sony, right? And I agree with that. However, I do believe that doing stuff like this and charging more or whatever, and then they're trying to prey, and this is my opinion, they're preying on the gamers' passions, their nostalgia, and obviously the game's pedigree themselves. And I think that they're preying on people's, like I said, memories, emotions. Oh man, God of War was incredible. Well, now we're going to make you pay more for the next one because it's God of War. I don't think that that's fair. I don't think that's the right way to do it. I mean,
they're spending that political capital, man. They're spending it.
Can I cross-examine the witness for 1 second?
Yes.
It won't take long. No, so
go ahead.
My thing is that, like, if production costs are going up on the Sony side, and they're doing this kind of these big quadruple A productions, all those things, and they're these single player experiences. They're not service games that are trying to kill you with microtransactions. And I think that raising the price on some of these games, like I said, I don't agree with Returnal, but for if Horizon 2 has a big $250 million budget or more, and they're not gonna like try to charge me for new outfits and things like that, then fine, right? Like, the game has a beginning, middle, and end. It's a quantified thing, and the production value is very high, and the cost is very high, and they need to make that up. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Okay, no, that's fine. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, but there are other games that will charge. Like, I'm looking at you, EA, right now, right? My eyes are on you, but they will charge you $70, right? Like Activision will charge you $70, and then try to get you with all the microtransactions. And that's the thing that I don't really like, right? Like, I'm just less mad when Sony does it because they don't try to nickel and dime. I mean, you could argue that this $10 is nickel and diming the PS4 people, but yeah, I just think it's not as bad, and I think an argument can be made that these things warrant that extra money for them trying to raise the price.
I get that. Now here's the thing. Now take it out of an American lens for half a second. And I've said this before, obviously in a very non-derogatory manner. But the United States is not the center of the world for everybody else. $10 is the United States, right? I get it. $10. $10, you can pull that out of your wallet. You can find it in your couch. Okay? You can lift your couch cushions. You can probably find $10 in there. There's Canada. There's South America.
There's the EU.
There's Europe.
Yep.
There's Australia, who have 10 times the population of the United States. I understand that Sony and obviously Xbox and Nintendo have a large presence in the United States, and that's why Sony, for obvious reasons, have moved their headquarters to the United States because it makes sense for them. because they moved it out of Japan. They're like, well, these are our biggest consumers. The United States are the number one consumers of any product in the world. That's just the way it is. Okay. However, there are still hundreds and hundreds of millions, and if not billions, of other people around the world who are not paying $10. Present company included. In Canada, that 10 is 25. $25. So
in
if
the
I
EU,
were to
that's £70, which is the equivalent of $94.
Right, and I don't know what kind of tax is going on in the EU, but my tax up here is 15 to 18%, because for a multitude of reasons, right? So I'm paying well over $105 per game. For example, the Ghost of Tsushima, whatever the hell you want to call it, the little package there. Even though I own the game, that upgrade is $50.
Wow.
$50. I'm buying Kena Bridge of Spirits on my PS5 for the same price. The same price as that add-on is Kena Bridge of Spirits, which is going to be a whole separate experience. I'm buying that day one. I've been looking forward to that game forever. So I can't wait to buy that on my PlayStation 5. Great. But like just that upgrade is the same price as that game. That is lunacy to me. And now you've got people all over the world going, hi, guys. I understand and we're listening to your shows. It ain't $10 for us. It's 25. And the thing is, when you add that all up, if I buy 2 Sony games, I could have bought a third game for free. And that's the way, as a consumer, as a smart consumer, that's why I look at those things and I say, well, I nickel and dime, not them, because I'm the consumer. I'm the one who says, well, if I buy 2 games this fall here, whatever, blah, 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 then I can actually buy an extra game with that later on 4 months from now, with that extra money that I'm saving. So that's why I wait for sales on Sony games, so they drop back down to either the normal ex-normal price, whatever you call it, and maybe even lower than that. For example, Ratchet & Clank. I brought this up actually in the private chat that we talked about earlier. Ratchet & Clank has now dropped 14% in price. So now it's what it would cost on the PS4. So now
Demon Souls is $44 in the US PSN store.
Yes, I did.
That's why I bought it. Before then, I did not buy it.
Right. Like, see, the thing is, the way I look at it now, I'm going to be very, very picky when I buy my games. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be as willy-nilly. And yeah, I got the money, but that's not the point. Well, that's the problem. People are like, this guy's got a PlayStation 5, he's got 3 Xbox Series X, and he has this and he has that. You can't afford a $70 game. And I'm like, the reason why I have all that stuff is because I'm not stupid. And go buying $105 games, all of them day one, just so they could sit on my hard drive for 7 months.
And he drives a Tesla.
That's right.
About to. You know what I'm saying? Okay, yeah. I'm a smart consumer. I'm not saying everybody's dumb. I'm just saying I'm
you're speaking for yourself, and that is proper.
That's the way you got to do it, boo. Yes. I mean, that's the way I got to do it. I'm not just going to.
And I'll tell you, it's not even about just for yourself. I've spoken to people who are a lot wealthier than most people, and that is their number one key to staying wealthy. Be very mindful of what you spend. Just because you can easily spend it doesn't mean you shouldn't think about it twice and go, hey, why am I being charged extra for this? This small $10 lasts a long time when you stretch it out over a year,
Exactly.
All smart ideas,
Let me ask you a quick question, brother. Let me ask you a quick question here. And then I'll stop talking. My question is this. How many times have you bought in a game for full price and it sits on your damn hard drive for 6-7 months, and by the time you actually play it,
countless.
It's 60% off?
Countless.
Oh yeah.
There it is. I'm never going to get to, like, I haven't even got to Ratchet & Clank yet on the PS5. I haven't bought it. I'm not going to buy it yet because I just realized as I went through the list of games that I'm playing, and like I said, PlayStation, I got Kena coming up. I don't have to rhyme up all the games I'm playing between now and the fall. And but you know what? When Black Friday comes around, it'll probably be 60%, and then I'll buy it because then with a 60% off and a 40% off, whatever, I bought 2 Sony games for the price of 1, and that's the way I would like to operate.
And I'm sorry,
they
real
don't
quick,
give you a choice.
Real quick, someone in the chat was asking, yes, if you had not played it before, Demon Souls is worth the full price. I agree. But I played it on PS3, and it's basically the exact same game, just prettier. So nice. I wanted to see the prettiness. I didn't think it was $70 worth of pretty. $40 worth of pretty? I'll check it out. The minute I started that game, it all floods back to you. It's exactly the same game, even though I played the PS3 version. But I'm sorry. I just wanted to put that out there. Continue.
I just like the idea that Mag has come around to team not buying things day one.
Day one, that's right.
Man, it doesn't make sense.
The bugs will be
evermore.
fixed, and the price will come down to something acceptable.
It
You
makes
don't
no
have to
sense
do this.
anymore.
Well, you know, yeah, no, you're 100%.
Cyberpunk is $10 right now.
$10.
I'm
There
just
you
saying.
go. I paid $80 for that.
Yes, I paid $80 for that twice. I paid it on PC and I paid it on console, full price twice, and it's $10 now.
And it's $10. So listen, let's bring in Wandering Dutch, and then we're gonna bring in Tempest-san, and of course, making his grandest return, our good friend, our brother, Gaming Forte, is here to celebrate the 3rd year anniversary of Primetime Gaming in the biggest spotlight. Folks, we have over 400 people here. First, before I get to, of course, Wandering Dutch, if you are new to Double Barrel Gaming, if you're new to Primetime Gaming, you're enjoying the banter. We're being very respectful. We're not, console bashing. This is the kind of content that you get on a weekly basis. I do 4 live shows per week, and Double Barrel Gaming is not about console war. It's about bringing you the best content possible. And I'm closing in on 10,000 subs. I'm under 1,300 away. And we, again, if you're new, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you're already subscribed, hit the like button, folks. Obviously, the algorithm of when you start talking about YouTube is vast, and it's confusing. And the only way that I can get to new places with this channel is if you give this a like, and you retweet it, you put it out there for other people to listen to, because I think that the quality content that I do, not to toot my own horn, is worthy of a listen. And maybe not every show is your cup of tea, but every show at least gives you something to do during the week, and it's all well-researched content. But Wandering Dutch, let's get your opinion on this, and I'll catch up on the Super Chats on the back end of it. Where do you personally fall with the $10 being wavered per every new Sony first party?
First of all, we'll go this little. I was going to say a shit sandwich at first, but there's quite a lot of. There's more bad than there is good, to be honest. That comes out of this. Yes, they've done a 180, but for the abundance, and this isn't having to go at you, Boom, because of course I don't think you meant to word it the way you did when you put it out on Twitter. But applauding Sony for reversing this. These companies don't deserve applaud for trying something and then getting caught. In the statement specifically, what Sony stated was this game was due to launch in the launch window, which is why we said that the upgrade was going to be free. Now, because of the pandemic, this was pushed outside of the launch window, which is why we then decided that the upgrade wasn't going to be free. Because we said it was going to be free and you've all caught us out, we've decided to honor that. It's essentially the summarized version of what was said in that statement. We did say it was going to be free. It fell out of the launch window. So, F you, we're going to charge you more money because it's not in the launch window anymore. Then the fans clicked onto it. The rest of us clicked onto it and said, wait a minute. You said it was going to be free. Now it's all of a sudden it's being charged. Not only is it being charged, but now there is also no upgrade path for those of you that buy the standard version. The only way to get the upgrade is to buy the deluxe version or buy the game twice on 2 consoles, which is absolutely obscene. So it's either spend £80 normally or $80. Of course, if you're spending £80 and then transfer that into dollars, that's more like $110, $120. Or you buy the game twice, which would equate to the lovely price of around about $180 for those of us in the UK, which is obscene. It's just absolutely bananas. The company doesn't need applause. They don't need to be well done on the fact that it's 180. They've been caught out, and rightly so. They needed called out for it. If you say something's free and then you turn around and change that decision, you need to give a good explanation as to why you're changing that particular decision. The only reason you've walked back in it is because you got caught out lying and had no particular reason for having that price increase, of having that upgrade cost. There isn't a reason for it, which is why they know it. But because they've already said that it was going to be free, they've had to step back and agree to honor that. Now, the worrying thing that's come off the back of the rest of the statement is the fact that they're also saying, future PlayStation first party titles will now have a dedicated upgrade path from PlayStation 4 to PlayStation 5. The reason that's worrying to me is because we're going in now into what would be classed as essentially the second year of this generation, and they're still talking about cross-generation games getting developed. At this point of the generation, anything going forward, of course, Horizon, God of War, Gran Turismo is already cross-gen. You know now that God of War and Gran Turismo are going to be a $10 increase just for getting the next-gen version. But this also guarantees you that games currently being developed that are coming out to PlayStation are going to be cross-gen titles. The vast majority of games that are going to be coming out for PlayStation over the next year or two are going to be cross-generation titles. As a consumer who's just purchased a PlayStation 5, you've got to be wondering specifically, and this is what Xbox players had at the beginning of the generation, why are you investing your money into PlayStation 5 at this point in time, other than a DualSense? What is the added benefit? You've got these additional features that aren't being taken complete advantage of, and now you've got essential guarantees from the lead of PlayStation, Jim Ryan, saying that they're going to continue to invest, essentially to charge this tax for future games, which is essentially saying to me that they're not focusing on building these dedicated next generation specific titles, and that their next titles for the platform are going to continue to be cross-gen. What is that about? Like, we know specifically now from Xbox that pretty much most of the titles in development over the next couple of years, outside of Halo and Horizon, which are coming out for the end of this year, the vast majority of games next year onwards, if not most, pretty much all of them, are next generation only. Forza Motorsport, next gen only. Fable, next gen only. Hellblade, next gen only.
Yes.
You name it, every game that's been announced so far, Perfect Dark, State of Decay 3, all of those games that have been announced are next gen only titles. You can guarantee they will not be on the previous gen, which is why they went down the cloud route and said, right, because you're not going to get it specifically on the previous generation anymore, your hardware is not going to be able to handle it. You can play it via the cloud. Yes, it's going to be 1080p, but at least you'll be able to play it until you can afford to buy the console and experience it like it should be.
That was a power move, by the way. I just like to point that out. Power move.
PlayStation do not have that capability, and they're stuck.
Dutch, can I just point out the irony of where we sit today?
Yes. Go for it.
Do you remember in the lead up to the launch when Xbox and Phil Spencer were very upfront about what their plan was? And they're very clear with the customers, and they said for 1 to 2 years that they would support cross-gen first-party titles. Now, even though they said 1 to 2 years, everyone reported that as the worst thing possible, saying for 2 years, your games will be held back. It is hilarious that all of that stopped when we found out every big game from PlayStation is going to be cross-gen.
Yeah,
right.
For 4 years.
Well, that's the thing as well. If you have it,
is this going to be a mid-gen refresh
for
4 years?
For twice the time, 3 to 4 years.
Yep,
indeed.
But where we sit today is that starting next year, basically, all the big titles are going to be next gen only. I just want to remember all the shit that we had to hear about that.
Yeah,
100%.
When Xbox was holding back gaming writ large.
See, and you're right, Everborn. And what upsets me with that statement that you make there is that not even the people, those who have thoughts, hey, I think this is good, I think this is bad, but all the media outlets, all the virtual ink that has been spilt about how bad this is for gaming, which was absolute hogwash then. And the minute the PlayStation also adopted the same moniker, all that just went away.
Yep. But again, like the mention there, though, and it was announced like Everborn said, it was announced a while back. Xbox came out, said 1 to 2 years. PlayStation were like, we believe in generations. A couple of months down the line, yeah, well, it's going to be cross-gen, probably anywhere from 3 to 4 years. 3 to 4 years? So more than half of the generation is going to be spent cross-generation? Like, that is obscene. And now it's starting to also bear fruit, because now you've got the CEO coming out and saying, listen, this next generation tax is going to be essentially implemented for all PlayStation games going forward. Now, in that particular sentence itself, it's going to be implemented in PlayStation games going forward. He's guaranteeing you that those games are going to be cross-gen. You wouldn't need a cross-generation tax or an upgrade fee if you don't have a game on the previous gen to upgrade in the first place.
There you go.
So you're not taking advantage of the hardware. So what, as a consumer who had a pre-order for a PlayStation 5 and then give it up, and then has been playing on a PlayStation 4 Pro, to then go, right, okay, I'll see how they go over the next 6 to 12 months, and then I'll look to try and get a PlayStation 5, because it's hard. It's a time-consuming thing as it is in the UK, even trying to locate one. What incentive have I got now to go out and say, right, other than the fact that I can use my DualSense on my PC and use the DualSense features and play PlayStation games when they come to the PC with DualSense features, what benefits do I get from getting a PlayStation 5 over the PlayStation 4? Nothing. Zero benefits.
For now, yeah, that is absolutely true. Yeah.
There's benefits. There's benefits. It just comes down to what you're looking for when you buy those new systems and stuff. Like I always tell people, it wasn't and I would be hypocritical if I didn't say it. I always tell people, Xbox hasn't had compelling games for quite some time exclusively to their system. The reason I upgraded to this next gen system is because of the power, the resolution, the performance that I got. You'll still get those things. That's why I always argue the fact, like, it's not always about this. Yes, it's always about games, but the reason the reason you upgrade isn't just because of the games. You just want your stuff to run better. Like, there's a reason when mid-gen refreshes came around, all of us jumped on them because it made we wanted better resolution, we wanted better frame rates or stable frame rates. So there is still a benefit. I mean, the thing is, when it comes to what PlayStation did in this kind of situation, is mostly due to they're being hit a little bit harder than most people thought they were going to be hit when it came to this whole pandemic thing. Like, people were saying that they weren't phased by it because they released so many games during the first year of it. Like, you know, Ratchet and Clank, Demon Souls came out and stuff like that. Miles Morales, all that stuff came out. They just had a bunch of stuff that was in development beforehand, and they were still able to release it. Now you're starting to see them really being infected by that. That's why you're starting to see, you know, the fact that games like Horizon, that at some point they probably did want that to be exclusive, but they physically can't make it exclusive to the PS5 because they don't have enough systems out there in the wild to garner a game that sold 15 million on the PlayStation 4 at one point. Same thing when it comes to God of War, you know, so 10 million in the first, what was it, like 3 million the first 3 days of the game being out. So that's what they're kind of looking at.
Well,
and
so Forte, let me as we are doing on the tradition of this show, let me cross-examine the witness for just a
absolutely.
quick moment. Because you said because you said one very interesting point that I want to push you on a little bit. Okay,
yeah, go ahead.
You're absolutely right in your complete assertion that they did that. It's a business decision and a good business decision, in my opinion.
Right?
How are you going to leave a bunch of people in the dust? I get that, right? But here's the thing that makes me question. Okay, we're not developers here, but some of us, you know, you pay attention. You know what has been said as processes for production. Okay, this decision to make it PS4 or PS5 compatible would have had to happen like really at the early stages of it, because otherwise it will not be compatible, because all of a sudden you have a CPU in the PS5 that's way more capable than the PS4, and that if you make a different design decision at the top, nothing else will continue to work. So the only way, it's not a situation, and please correct me if I'm wrong here.
No, go ahead.
But based on you know, this will be cross-gen, this will be cross-gen, that means it was slated as cross-gen from jump.
But
you can't go back and change your mind later.
I think the game was. No, this is the thing. I think all of these games were able to be played cross-gen. It's just that they
from day one. They just weren't telling people that.
Well, they choose like the developer came out. I don't know if it was the developer that I read the article somewhere where they talked about Rift Apart. They said Rift Apart could be played on a PlayStation 4.
Oh, I said that to Everborn day one. I was like, look at that. I'm telling you, this is cross-gen. Yes.
Yeah, they definitely could have done it. But the difference is that's a game that, we theorized about this probably 6 months ago when we first found out about the game being exclusive to PS5. We theorized saying that this game, like Ratchet & Clank is a big franchise for Sony, but it's not a world beater for Sony. So them having a game like Ratchet & Clank out there saying that this is exclusive to the PS5, if it was going to sell 3 million, 4 million on PlayStation 4, it's going to sell that same 3, 4 million or 2 million on PlayStation 5. Just because it's an exclusive game. It's the only thing you could buy on the PS5. We all said it on here, just like Returnal. We don't even know Returnal. So it was just... So my only problem with the whole narrative is my only problem with this whole narrative is like people are now at the level where even if you're not a dev, you can get valid, good data on the processes that these things take. Okay, you can't both say, oh, it can only be done on this, and then 5 minutes later, like. Because we know the process of development. We know the length of development. We know the process and time that these things take. Like, the first decision you make is whether it's going to be PS4 or PS5 or both. Because that'll tell you which CPU you're allowed to use or not. Right? Let's be for real. Sony got blindsided by the initiative that Xbox put forward. Let's be for real about that. That's where it starts at. If PlayStation had their way, Horizon would be exclusive to PS5. God of War would be exclusive. They will all be, even knowing they would be available to be played on a PS4, they would make them all exclusive to PS5. But Xbox, and that's the difference in the marketing. Xbox came out day one, said all of this stuff is going to be cross generation. They put a timetable on it, like Everborn said, 2 years. PlayStation kind of was like playing with fire the whole time, and they
said generations. If we forget,
yeah, exactly. So their idea of what they were saying about generations, like, they do believe in generations, but they only believe in generations as long as they have the hardware out there to sell to people. So once they didn't have the hardware to sell to people,
all of a sudden generations goes away.
Generations goes away because guess what? We don't have enough systems to garner the amount of sales we want from these high budget titles. Just like Sean Layton came out and said, PlayStation IPs cost anywhere from $150 to $200 million to make. And let's be for real, people are going to say, well, Xbox has the same thing. Halo took $500 million to make. But the thing I'll tell you about Xbox is Xbox, as we've seen over the last couple of years, back to 2018, ain't afraid to spend money. We may be on them about having sequels to the games that they make and everything, but they've proven that they are willing to go out and spend billions of dollars to get franchises and to get developers and different IPs under their stewardship. Where PlayStation is like, look, we're going to cultivate the stuff that we have, and we're just going to try to mend exactly the direction we're going to go with these games. And Xbox, they could just spend the money, where Sony, they don't. Like we always say, Sony don't have the money to spend like that. So $250 million that Sean Layton was talking about, that's kind of the main reason why I think you see this scenario happening with Sony, where they got to backtrack on this stuff. And it just looks bad for them because they made a promise to people when it came to Horizon Zero Dawn, and they tried to pull the wool over people's eyes. And that's where most of the disdain from this conversation happened. But trust and believe, if they would have never said that they were giving a free upgrade to this game, just say they were saying like this game is going to be PS5 only, then we find out it's coming to PS4, and they never said anything about free upgrades on the game, people wouldn't be as upset as they are right now. It's mostly due to the messaging that they have had,
the words that they said,
words that they use versus the words that Microsoft used. And of course they're going to be just like a lot of, like, even though when Phil Spencer comes out and says PlayStation, we're not in competition with PlayStation, we're in competition with like Amazon and Google and stuff, but us as gamers say, no, you're in competition with them because they directly sell and compete with you in the space that you compete in. So you can't really say that. But that's the same thing. It speaks the same way for Sony. Sony is in competition with Xbox when it comes to price and performance and everything, and that's why you see them making these changes like they're making. They're going to tell you it's for other reasons, but it's because they literally can't do what Xbox is doing when it comes to the price to performance dollar amount when it comes to how they're putting their games out on the market. And, that's just kind of how it's going to be until they can get enough PS5s out there to actually take care of people on a day-to-day basis.
Your Honor,
40, like I was going to say as well.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say before as well, 40. Just I'm the type of person as well that has a PlayStation for the purpose of exclusives only.
Yes, that's
And
why
PlayStation have made
Exactly.
a rod for their own back in a sense, because their games look and play so well on previous gen as it is that it makes to invest in the next generation. They're going to have to do something substantially better than that anyway. Like, Ghost of Tsushima already looks absolutely beautiful on
It's gorgeous.
the PlayStation 4 Pro.
My game of the year 2020.
Yeah. Spider-Man already looked beautiful on the PlayStation 4 Pro. God of War looks beautiful on the PlayStation 4 Pro. Like, they've already done such a tremendous job of making their games look and play beautifully on the previous gen, which is why they won all the accolades that they did. That moving to the next generation, for me, needs to be much more of a substantial change than just a slight performance increase. Like, they're still not pushing, of course, everyone's mentioned this before, but native resolutions are much more taxing on hardware. They have more powerful hardware now, and yet they're still relying on dynamic resolutions and checkerboard rendering. Now,
well, on that one, Dutch, I would say, in this case, and I'm not saying anything you don't know. Many a good developer has said that at this point, native rendering is just unnecessary, right? Like
it is. It's going to be going forward, especially with DLSS and all the
other
AMD,
FSR and all those tools. That's
exactly.
right. That's right. Yeah.
When they're getting, whilst they're getting to grips with that, though, because it's going to be a little while till most games have implemented that. But in the short term, you'd at least increase your base resolution on these dynamic scalers. Not still like pump out a 1080p image and then upscale it 4 times to 4K. Like, come on. Like, then the average resolution across these games are like 1200p and 1400p. It's like, you know the hardware can handle more, and you know that you're not pushing that console out further.
But guess what? You're absolutely right on that. But the reason I don't really speak on the visual fidelity of a PlayStation game is because PlayStation games look phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying about the upgrade as a whole. That's what I'm saying about the upgrade from PlayStation 4 Pro to PlayStation 5 in terms of how great they already look. Like, from a person who plays these exclusives anyway, that marginal performance increase, because again, as you mentioned,
God of War will probably disagree with you, because God of War only runs 44 frames per second on the Pro, and it runs at a lock 60 on that PS5.
Yeah, speaking of God of War, right?
At the same time, like, I've already platinumed God of War, so it's this is the problem.
I agree with you. I agree with you on that. Yeah, that's the thing. It's personal. I get you on that.
It is on a personal note as well, though. Like, God of War and it was my game of the year as well for when that came out, and pretty much my game of the gen.
Mine too.
But at the same time, I've tried to go and play that game again, and it doesn't have the same feel, because that story was a big hit when I first played it, and it doesn't make the same impact the second time I've played it around. But I don't want to continuously try to replay that game over and over again, or have a next generation patch on that particular game, because I don't want to spoil the original impressions I got from the game. Like, it was such a good game, and I loved it so much.
Yeah, that goes back to that goes back to the conversation. Well, that goes to a completely different conversation about multiplayer games versus linear storylines that have a beginning. I was going to say
on the multiplayer side, it's going to be really interesting, because Sony are investing in multiplayer now going forward, as we know.
That's what I'm looking more forward to, because we already know what they're going to do on the other front, on the single player front. What are they going to do on multiplayer? That's the thing for us next generation.
They're also going to add that next generation arsehole tax to these games that are essentially going to be live service. Like, multiplayer games as a whole are generally live service. You have season passes, you have battle passes, you have all these things, microtransactions, cosmetics. You better believe it that they've already hiring for people to add microtransactions for the Naughty Dog game that's coming out. Of course, you can see that on LinkedIn. They are hiring for people that know how to do that thing. Right?
Yeah.
So what they're going to do in terms of pricing,
no service games? I'm sorry, just a quick question. Are there no service games at all right now, whether it be PS4 or PS5, no service games that you can play from SIE proper at all?
I don't think so.
Wow.
Nope.
Not on console. They have
That is surprising.
they have Planet Side on PC, but that's
on
about
PC.
it.
Okay.
Nothing
Yeah,
on
that is
console.
very surprising. Okay, I'm sorry.
Well,
that is surprising to me. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
That makes me wonder whether or not they're going to charge the $70 again for something like that. Are they going to like as everyone mentioned before?
About
$70
factions.
for like a really great single player experience that's cost a lot and you don't get much more in return after sale. That there's slight justification there. Yes, they've invested a lot of money and they need to get this money back because there is no return of investment other than the sale amount that they put it out for. There isn't no continuous stream of revenue coming from that game after it's released. Once you've bought that game, it's done. That's it. You've bought that game. But with a multiplayer game, it's like you mentioned, it's different. Are you going to charge $70 for something that has a continuous revenue stream afterwards? Or are you going to send that game out as $60 or $50?
I mean,
If you ask them what PlayStation is going to do, PlayStation going to charge you $70.
Yeah, like
They're going to put out that Last of Us Game of the Year Part 2 edition, and they're going to add factions to it, and they're going to say, guess what? We're going to bundle this. It's normally going to be, and you won't be able to buy any of it separately. They're going to say Game of the Year version for PS5, $70 comes with faction. If you're on PS4, you can
100%.
You can just, I don't know, they might just give it to you on PS4 because that was something that was supposed to be part of the base game. But on PS5, you're going to pay $70.
Looking at this, I was going to say, looking at what they're doing, Factions looks like it's an entirely separate experience. That
It might be a $70 experience by itself. Listen,
Yep.
real quick, I
that's
do want to
crazy.
bring in Tempest Son, get his opinion. We are 90 minutes into
One
the
topic.
show, and we are just on one topic. And obviously, this was pitched as why there are new rumors circling about that Microsoft could purchase Take-Two and add them to Xbox Game Studios and what that would mean for the industry. And we're going to get to that. Like I said, folks, hang around because this show is obviously going into overtime. But Tempest Son, you have been hearing everyone who has made incredible opinions. That's why I just let it go because sometimes you just gotta let the voices be heard. Where do you fall on Sony having to change it to free because they got caught? Because I think no one has really touched on that. And Mag made a great point. The kid only or children only cry when they get caught. I think he's onto something.
That's
As
true.
a parent, where do you feel? Do you think that if they could have gotten away with it with no pushback, they would have?
Oh, that goes like without saying. They absolutely would have. I'm surprised that they even did turn things around. And that celebration was short-lived because they literally just came out and said it wasn't like, oh, we screwed up. We hear you. This is wrong. This isn't what's best for our consumers. They then came out and said pretty much, hey, we'll give you this one, but then no more. You are going to have to pay that money to get the next-gen version. And so I don't know. It's not surprising at all that they did do this. I keep saying this. I'm just being transparent. I don't have a PlayStation 5 yet. I actually want them. I'm looking forward to the show. I think it's Thursday.
Yes.
I'm looking forward to the show because I want them to sell me one.
Reaction. I cannot wait for it.
Yeah, I want them to sell me
on the PlayStation 5.
The PlayStation, exactly. I want that something I can't get anywhere else. And so far, there's no offense to the game, but like Ratchet and Clank ain't it. I don't need one yet. And even if I did have one, they're not doing a good job at selling this to somebody that is aware. This whole thing going on. I think the bottom line is I'm actually going to pan a little bit of. It's funny. It's going to sound weird. I'm pinning a little bit of on Xbox, but not because of what Sony's doing, but because they're not showing the general consumer how they're different. And I think one of the biggest issues is Sony is just the PlayStation is just such a more recognizable name. There are so many people that have no idea what Microsoft and Xbox are doing. They have no clue about what pro-consumer things they're doing. All they see is they'll go into a Walmart or a Target and they'll see the PlayStation 5 games and they see that they're more money. They might literally have a thought like, oh, that sucks. but then they'll go on. They have no idea really what the alternative is or anything of that nature. It actually put it in perspective with me. I mean, we sit here on these, or I listen to podcasts all day. I'm on one podcast, but we're like that. I don't even know what percent we would be, this hardcore community, right? I don't know what part of the gaming community we make up, but we sit here with all this knowledge and knowing things, and then I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, Xbox, they have the backwards compatibility, the smart delivery, which isn't just some PR slogan. It's not just some, willy-nilly little tagline they put on there to try to sell their stuff. It ended up being a big deal. So they got the smart delivery, the free optimizations. I mean, we just got a free patch for a game that came out before that studio was even owned by Microsoft and Ninja Theory, right?
Yes.
So we just got that for free. Nobody was asking for it, but we got it anyways, and it's amazing. We sit here with knowledge of stuff that Xbox is doing, and then it was Austin Evans. He had to come out and say he was getting doxxed, harassed about all that stuff with the possible, well, not possible, but the new version is running hotter. And so when he put up that info, he put up a little infograph, his info, and it just showed the searches, I guess, want for knowledge on one platform versus the other. It was clear as day. Way more people tune in to find out more about the PlayStation than the Xbox.
Yes.
It is still that way. And that's not going to change for quite a while. I think Xbox buried themselves worse than anybody ever could have imagined. I think there's still casual gamers out there that think Xbox bad, PlayStation good. That's just how they feel. And it was for those reasons. I think they buried themselves. I think they're still trying to get their way out of it in the mind of the general consumer. So it's going to take a while to change, but I think Xbox needs to get out there a little bit more, find more creative ways, whatever it is, or just beat people over the head with TV ads and ads in not the theater. Nobody's going to the theater, but just anywhere they can put ads and just let them know, like, I'm not looking for a Sega do what Nintendo don't. I'm not looking for that, but they just, people need to know.
That.
It would be great. Listen, we would love it. We would love it.
But Tempest, I think the only real way for them to do this is just with these exclusive games that they have coming.
You're right.
And once they put those out, those games that you have to have, if Starfield is what people suspect it will be, I have no idea what Starfield will be. Like, well, I know it's an RPG, but I'm saying if they have those must-have games, like if Avowed hits, if Hellblade hits, people,
if Halo hits.
I was going to say that. Listen.
People will through osmosis kind of just get it.
Yeah,
think of all the here for no reason.
Yeah, think of all the main, like the Mount Rushmore of gaming properties. We all know Halo has a place there. It's on the Mount Rushmore. Yep. None of those other games that would be on that Mount Rushmore have taken their game and put a free stamp on it. It's not quite free because you have to subscribe to Game Pass, but you can get the campaign through Game Pass, but the multiplayer is free. So what Everborn just said might very well happen. That might be the change when people finally wake up and like, oh, holy crap. Because if Halo actually hits big because it's free and every streamer and their mother is playing it and that's all everybody's talking about, we might see the change there. If it hits good and the multiplayer is great, who knows? That might be the change they need. But I don't know. Yeah, I just think Xbox needs to do a little bit better of a job because in my personal opinion, they are better. They are better in almost every way, shape, or form, except for currently the amount of exclusives that they have. But even that is, I feel it's going to be better on the Xbox as well. So I don't know. I just that's my viewpoint on it, is just the general.
So Tempest, real quick, I will add to your point as far as criticizing them. One thing that I've heard a lot of recently and in the past, and I've been hearing a lot of it more now, and folks who don't live in the States can probably attest to this more than I can, but non-English speaking countries get shafted horribly by Microsoft in general.
Yeah, you know what? I've not. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
I follow shafted to the point where even the best. Yeah, please go ahead.
No, I follow a guy on Twitter, and he
Mm-hmm.
he calls himself Korean Xbox MVP. I mean, the guy, I think he's like hosted seminars and stuff over in Korea, trying to get like more hype and recognition for the Xbox brand. And he'll post things, and he'll tag Phil Spencer and be like, "Hey, listen, everywhere else has these games but us. Why?"
Yep.
You know. So yeah, you're
I
right.
will tell you.
You're right.
I will tell you the one thing that as the youngins say, let's keep the same energy there, people.
Yeah.
The number one thing that Microsoft has a problem with, and Sony does this like masterpiece level genius. They got their crew in every country you need them to be. They speak the language of the country. They're there to talk to you about your game in your language so that you understand what they're offering. Xbox, not so much. They lean very heavily on the English-speaking countries, right? On the other country, and I lived in the Netherlands for many years, and Xbox has a big emphasis in the Netherlands, but that's because most people speak English. You know, that is leading to them, even when they have the big heavy hitters, like everyone is saying, this will hit, that'll hit. They will always be. I know many a friend who are Dutch who feel betrayed by Microsoft because they used to be all in on 360.
I was going to say, to your point on it, when Xbox One launched, it didn't launch for another year.
It didn't launch. Yes, exactly. A buddy of mine who's Dutch feels to this day straight betrayed. He used to be a 360 dude, 100%. Went to PS5, never looked back because it's like, you don't even bother to learn my language. What's going on? It took you how many months before you could actually switch to a Dutch user interface on the console? Like, this is all of that. Is why PlayStation gets to be a little shady and get away with it, because they speak your language. They will make sure they hire your locals to speak to you in the language you get. The games will come localized in your language.
And that is what it means to be a true global brand.
That's right.
And I think that Microsoft is still struggling with that. And another thing, we talked about this offline, Kay, is I think another reason that Microsoft really just is really dropping the ball on is that they don't take content sharing in photo mode seriously.
Oh, bro, don't get me started.
Listen, you want to hear us complain. To that end, we were talking in the green room. One of the biggest things that annoys me, folks, is I have an incredible TV. I have an Xbox Series X, and I cannot play with HDR on because why? Boom needs to record for these shows. And I can't record on my Xbox because A, it doesn't work correctly, and B, it comes out dark. So I have to get a capture card. I have to get a capture card. I have to get an Elgato, and I have 16 wires. I had to be schooled on how to set it up because it wasn't working. It was a nightmare. And I've talked directly to Jason Ronald on it. So if you think that it's all, it's all smoke and mirrors on the Xbox side, you are incorrect. We have problems with the Xbox.
Let me just drill down on that a little bit further. I know we have to move on, but I think this is an important point. The fact that it is not here yet means that they don't think of it as a priority. And I think that is a fatal flaw. Because
100%.
Tempest, and this is not about us as being content creators who need video for our podcast. What I am saying, part of the reason that PlayStation dominated last generation is the casuals were on board, and that just became the conversation. That was the meta. And part of the reason that was the case is because PlayStation made it a priority for people for photo mode 1 and being able to share clips. And as you know, photo mode can give you a better, will look better than the game looks in real time, right? And 100%. People would share clips either from photo mode or just recordings of them sharing gameplay very easily. The casuals would do this, and people would see this on social media, and they would be like, "Oh my God, that's a shot of in-game, even though it's photo mode," and they were like, "That's where I need to play," right?
Oh, 100%.
And the idea that they don't understand that is weird to me because they're so connected to the community. Aaron Greenberg, Jason Ronald, Phil's always doing an interview, getting misquoted. You know what the community is saying, right? So how don't you know that is an important thing for people to be able? It's free advertising, and
So,
they just
real
don't
quick,
even care.
real quick before we move on, because I know we need to. I have now been going in a world where if there's a game that I'm loving that I want to record a lot of, I'll buy it on PlayStation.
Yeah.
Because it's easy to record it there.
But that is
This is a
because you're
problem.
content creator. That's not
No. This is you're absolutely right, but this is a use case that they should be fulfilling, but they're not doing so.
Yeah.
And their competitor is easily doing so. And in order to fulfill it on the Xbox side, I need to actually spend physical dollars to go buy a separate device because they are not because it's not capable of doing this thing.
Not working
they are
correctly.
not putting their priority into it.
Even the external hard drives for it at the moment as well. Like at the beginning of getting the Series X, attaching an external, recording 4K 60 HDR worked fine for me. Over the last month or so, plugging in a hard drive, it just press start to record, nothing. Start to record, nothing.
Yeah.
Start to record, nothing.
Yep.
Completely format the hard drive, plug it back in again, attach as a media device, record, start to recording. Next couple of days goes past, record
Goes
again.
back to being weird again.
Nothing.
Yeah.
Doesn't do anything.
I think like I understand what everyone's saying that that's something that's a content creator thing, but let me speak on that being a person that makes content and stuff on this stuff. The other part of being a content creator is you're also an influencer. And let's be for real. People, if you're going like if Asante says he's going out and buying a game on PlayStation 5 or PlayStation 4 just to capture, what does his viewers see when he posts something on Twitter, when he does a video and they see PlayStation prompts up on the screen? They're up there one like, okay, well, why is he playing it on PlayStation? Maybe they're saying, well, if he's playing it on PlayStation, then maybe there's a reason I should play it on PlayStation if I happen to have both systems. That kind of happened with Call of Duty, even knowing like a lot of the Call of Duty creators, when all that DLC and stuff went over to the Xbox, it was no different of a game. But since the content creators went over there, a lot of other people followed them. So, I mean, sometimes people just don't know that, we're a small minority, but we do have a huge reach. That's why you see people like Dealer and Rand and them get like Xbox Series X's and stuff, because they are the demographic that they want to aim for, because they know they can cast a wider net with those people. So that's kind of why that stuff happens. Exactly.
Well, listen, what I want to do is, listen, folks, this has been an hour and 40 minutes on topic one. And listen, we got to get to the main crux. I know there are people in the chat. We have 400 people here. And folks, listen, here's the thing. I know I'm not going to shout anybody out. I know you want us to press forward. I know you want us to talk about Take-Two Interactive being purchased by Microsoft. We're getting to it. But there are certain conversations that the way I run shows, and I think it's the best way to run a show, is there's no scripts, right? We're here. It's raw. We're talking about it. Now, I write my scripts for myself, so I have my show notes. But no one has a specific time. Hey, Asante, you got 10 minutes, go. That's not the way it works. And that's not how I do the shows here. That's not how you make a good podcast. Trust me, when we're done, if you missed it live, you're going to be cleaning your house or at the gym, and it's going to be the best 3 hours of your life, because we're all real gamers talking real facts. No one is trying to sell a brand for someone. Microsoft doesn't need Boom's help, to sell Xbox. They're going to be just fine. But listen, we're going to get to it. And we're an hour and 45 minutes into the show. And again, like I said, expect overtime. So now we got to get to why I advertised what I advertised. Now, here's the thing, folks. Understand that this next topic is a rumor, right? And as rumors go, it is the biggest one potentially of 2021. Now, according to several insiders who we will get to, apparently, potentially, rumor-esque, Microsoft has been in touch with Take-Two Interactive for the potential of adding them to Xbox Game Studios for the minimal price of $18 billion. And of course, their current market cap value is at $17.7 billion as of this morning. And normally, if you know anything about business, you could probably tack on 5 to 7 billion on top of that, making this potentially a 25 plus $1 billion purchase, billion with a B, for Microsoft. Now, is that a drop in the hat for the $1 trillion company? Yes, actually it is. And considering that they are looking to make moves unlike they've ever made before, this would be one of them. Um, I think that when you talk about Redmont, of course, Xbox or Microsoft gaming division, it has been quite active in recent years, buying studio after studio after studio, and of course, as we know, the game changer in ZeniMax / Bethesda, which is a publisher. They added to them. They announced it last September, literally right before my birthday, and they completed that purchase in 2021. Well, now we are hearing that one of the bigger purchases, probably in gaming history, if it wasn't already Bethesda, could potentially be Take-Two Interactive, which we know that they have the rights to GTA, BioShock, and the Borderlands game series, just to simply name a few. Now, one of the insiders who leaked such an intriguing conversation that made me want to put this show together was Jez Corden of Windows Central. And he talked about this in the last Xbox 2 podcast. And that, of course, is a show that's run from friend of this show, Randall Thor 19. And obviously, he had heard a few months ago that there about negotiations from several trusted sources that this was an ongoing conversation between Microsoft Corporation and Take-Two Interactive. Now, Corden has made it clear that over the past couple of months, things could have changed, and he has no real evidence if the negotiations have stalled or, of course, they're ongoing. Though we do have another source that comes to us from Spanish journalist from a gaming portal known as Somos Xbox, that, of course, this was, in fact, an ongoing conversation. Now, this is something that we've heard in June and we've heard before. There is no substance that suggests that this is a done deal, but we are living in the era where I love talking about what if. And obviously, until this deal is or is not announced, we are going to have to speculate. And Speculation Town is a place that I like hanging out in because you can speculate and, for fun, make up potential solution to something that is going on. And I'm going to go first to Forte. Now, listen, regardless of where you game, whether it be solely on Xbox, solely on PlayStation, solely on Nintendo or PC, or you are like me and you kind of like a little bit of everything,
right?
Being able to tell the gaming world that the next Grand Theft Auto 6, would be exclusive to Xbox and to Windows PC would immediately invoke FOMO in subscriptions to Xbox Game Pass, which is what Microsoft is at the crux of their conversation. Sure, right. They're going to sell you a console, whether it be the S or the X. Sure, they want to sell you a gazillion controllers, and I'm guilty. I buy them all like a knucklehead. But at the center of their business practice is they want to sell you an Xbox Game Pass. The best way to do that would, in fact, tell you, the gamer, that if you want Grand Theft Auto 6, and who the hell doesn't want that next game, you're going to have to play it on an Xbox or a PC. Now, right now, they are currently have reported that they have sold over 150 million copies of Grand Theft Auto 5, and I expect that to go up significantly by at least 10 more million when the next-gen versions on the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series consoles releases from Take-Two. So to say that getting just Grand Theft Auto on your box as an exclusive wouldn't be big, you would have to be foolhardy to suggest it. What would be the significance of Microsoft adding Take-Two Interactive's incredible list of games, of publishers, of developers to Xbox as exclusives.
Wow. Are you ready for a bunch? You think we get emergency spaces now? Just imagine what would happen if this was to go
We were
down.
talking about those Twitter spaces.
God.
I would be in every one of those spaces.
Man,
There wouldn't be enough room at the top of the screen for all the bubbles.
Man. It'll be literally out there. They'll be out there saying, "Listen, man, we gotta hang together, man. It's not the end." No, it's not the end. No, but okay. But for real, this would be the power move of all power moves. This would be the biggest acquisition in Xbox, not even Xbox, Microsoft history, if this was to go down like that. Eclipsing.
Really?
I think those are Nokia the biggest that not Nokia. One was 21 billion,
Nope.
right? Was the highest.
26.2 billion.
Oh, so
for
LinkedIn.
Oh, for LinkedIn. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So it will be just okay. Well, shoot, it'll be just shy of that, which is crazy for a gaming platform. It'll be short of something that literally people use to connect to find jobs on. That's how crazy this would be. But ultimately, man, you can't say it's a bad move because it's all business at this certain point. The thing is, it's so many things that could come from this. Grand Theft Auto, like you said, who wouldn't want Grand Theft Auto to be exclusive to their platform? What Microsoft make it exclusive, that's a whole nother thing too. But ultimately, it really would just come down to games like BioShock. This would be a chance for Xbox to double down on things that they didn't do in the past. Bring back older IPs that a lot of people would love to see, like we would see something like Max Payne, because remember, Max Payne 3 is something that was done under Rockstar, under 2K. A lot of people might get a chance to actually see something like that. The NBA 2K franchise, which is one of the biggest franchises, especially when it comes to microtransactions, would fit perfectly into something like Game Pass, because you will be able to basically probably end up just giving the game away for free and just having something like microtransactions basically fueling the rest of that game. Probably we would get that future in sports games that we always want. Give me a subscription service that basically gives me the ability to just have roster updates every year, and I just pay for the things that I want inside the game. I think that's another thing that could definitely really happen with something like this acquisition if it actually goes down, because they definitely saw the fruits of the labor of that deal when they did have NBA 2K21 in there. Their sales, like they were talking about, their revenue inside of my team jumped through the roof when they had it there, because people were actually playing the game for free and they just had to pay to level up their characters and stuff. So this would just be another, it wouldn't be like a end of Sony type move or something like this, but this would be something that would put everybody on notice when it comes to like Microsoft really isn't playing now. We were sitting there talking about $7.5 billion being something that nobody thought Microsoft would be willing to do because they didn't know how invested they were in gaming. If you do something like this by probably the second biggest developer or publisher outside of maybe EA, because I think Activision is probably third, and that's only because they have Call of Duty, and Call of Duty is just a monster at this point. I don't even know how I would even comprehend a move like that actually happening. But the ultimate thing, this is about the same time that we started hearing news about Bethesda, about 2 or 3 years before the acquisition actually happened in 2018. We were hearing rumblings that Xbox was talking to Bethesda about a purchase, and this was something we talked about on podcasts consistently back then, and it was right around the time of the Xbox One X coming out, and a lot of people were theorizing on like, yo, remember what happened with something like Skyrim is exclusive to Xbox. What about Starfield? And guess what, guys? Look where we are now. 3 years later, that is exactly where we're sitting at. So I wouldn't say that this is something that couldn't happen, because a lot of people didn't think Bethesda was going to happen. But if it's going to be a long ways out when we finally get a chance to see this, unless it's something that's been in the works for quite some time. But this will be a momentous occasion, and like I said, the spaces will be on fire, literally and figuratively.
No, like people would literally set themselves on fire.
Yes,
like
I mean, you're literally
self-harm is bad, folks. We don't support self-harm.
You're literally taking away the biggest player base that Grand Theft Auto has. Like
Yes.
Grand Theft Auto is literally like there's no bones about it. Grand Theft Auto sells by far the most on PlayStation. So if you was to make a move like this, you're literally telling everybody like, well, if you don't have a play, if you don't have an Xbox or you ain't playing on PC, you ain't gonna play Grand Theft Auto. That's basically what you're telling people, and that's going to be something that a lot of people, honestly, that's going to make people make decisions that I didn't even think they were going to have to make as soon into a generation if this actually happens.
I actually piece articles that are going to come up about when this happens.
Listen, we a lot of people were questioning, and I haven't been watching the chat because I'm actually doing something in the background here. Trying to get the super chats. I want to make sure I don't miss them. And thank you, big shout out to K Asante who's been listening. I will get to them, folks. There is something, folks, that could be going on that's a little bit more nefarious than simply Microsoft buying. And K Asante, I'm going to you next on this because we talked about this exclusively. Now, Phil Spencer has gone on record and saying many times, wording it almost like a tactician. You can experience Xbox games on wherever Xbox Game Pass lives.
On Game Pass lives, baby. Game Pass lives.
Get this,
I know where this is going.
Now this is Power Move 101. And Phil, if you're listening, brother, call me into the board because I need a job. If you wanted to force a particular corporation into allowing Xbox Game Pass on its platform, i.e. Sony, you either let us in or you can suck it. And I think that, quite frankly, this would be the one move this would be the offer that Jim Ryan could not refuse unless he's going to find a horse head or something else in his bed.
His bed.
This would force Jim Ryan and that entire board to sit back and say, can we afford not to have Grand Theft Auto for our millions and millions of players? The answer is no. And Microsoft would then force Sony to put Xbox Game Pass. And then, you know what? You know who the winner is? Everyone's the winner. Microsoft specifically, because they invested in potentially $25 billion, but they would get all of those people, gamers, to play on PlayStation via Xbox Game Pass because you'd have to be subscribed in order to get that said game. It's a power move.
I think it'd still be in the cloud, though. It would
it would be a full crispy 1080p 60.
Yeah, I mean, listen, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. But you know, in order to get this game, you would have to get Xbox Game Pass. I don't know, would it be the straw that broke the camel's back? I honestly don't know. But K Asante, this would be by far the biggest move in gaming history to lock Grand Theft Auto 6 behind an Xbox or Microsoft brand. Please take it away.
No, I see it because that's what he was doing when people kept going, why don't you just say exclusive to Xbox? It's exclusive to Xbox. And he just did not do it. It is exclusive. It will be played where Game Pass lives.
Yes.
Right? If you've watched any of Fonzarelli's podcast appearances, you've probably seen him play that a million times, and that's like stuck in my head because of Fonzarelli, But yes, and you always ask yourself why it's exclusive to Xbox, right? Exclusively on PlayStation. Why are they not saying it as easy as they easily could? This is why. Yes. This is why. Yep. Really. This is why they want to be the Netflix of gaming. Yes. Netflix is a platform. Where is Netflix? It's everywhere. It is everywhere. And that's where these guys want to go. That's why they keep going, we're not in competition with PlayStation. Because if we're in competition with PlayStation, then all of a sudden our warriors or their warriors will start fighting us when we want to do something. Just like PlayStation's warriors fight them when they say we want to put it on the PC. They don't want that conversation. They want to say, hey, you're a customer. You're an Xbox customer. Wherever you play your Xbox is where we want you to play your Xbox. Doesn't matter where you play it. We'll bring it wherever you think it's useful. On a PC, on your phone, great. on your
Tablet,
refrigerator.
no
Great.
problem.
Tablet. Let's do it. That's what they do. That's the reason why every time you try to, pin down Phil Spencer and just say it's exclusive to Xbox, he won't. Because it's not exclusive to Xbox. It's exclusive to Game Pass.
Yep, exclusive to Game Pass.
That's what's going on. That's right. And it's good to have you here, Forte. I remember when Slow-Mo said that way back when and caught so much shit for that.
Made
but
a
he was
video
right
about
then.
it.
Yes, he was right then and he's right now. It's all about making sure that they are as essential as Netflix. Right. Yep. And if they were to acquire, if this were to happen now, this is all rumor speculation. We've all said that continuously, and it will continue to be rumor and speculation. And I don't believe that this is any more on the potential of happening or fact than any other potential rumor. Oh, please go ahead. Go ahead.
To add it to your point, Mike Lowry, good friend of this program. Mike, thank you so much for this. He says Phil Spencer and the head of Take-Two have a 2-day interview scheduled with the Rack.
Future of Gaming.
On September 20th and 21st. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, it's called the Future of Gaming. Yep, that's what they have. It's called the Future of Gaming. Yep.
Listen. I am sure you're going to get a better. You're going to go to your favorite podcast if it's not this. And I get it, folks. There's so much talent on YouTube. But just remember, folks. You heard it here first. If it happens, Asante, please continue.
No, I completely agree with you. Like, what I think is happening here is both Microsoft and PlayStation are sick and tired of this whole the console war-y back and forth because it goes against business.
Yes.
Everborn, if you're speaking, you're on mute.
I don't think Sony's against it, but yeah.
No, but I was about to go there. They still think it's useful because they can use that to weaponize people and then use that to, pull the wool over your eyes, right? But it only goes so far because even they recognize it's adverse effect because now they got Nixus, they want to make more money, and their own people are stopping them because of this stuff. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So I don't see a world. I see a world in which they recognize its usefulness is becoming less and less prevalent, and they will start squashing it as Xbox has been squashing it for a long time now.
Yes.
This is a master plan that's going on right now. Okay, that's why I've been able to play on the old VCR Xbox. I've been able to play, Flight Sim for a long time now on that old junker VCR. Why? Because I'm part of the Insider program. It's part of the one of the what do you call it? The alpha builds. And in the alpha place, they literally put the version of Edge that you can play on your PC. The x86 version of Edge is on the console. So literally, I'm playing Stadia. Yes, I still have Stadia, and I have a couple games on there. I'm still playing Stadia from the Xbox through the browser. I'm playing NVIDIA, like the NVIDIA grid service that they have. They offer the same thing. I can play my PC games through NVIDIA from the Xbox. They could give a crap what you're playing as long as you're in their ecosystem. Yeah. This is what they are doing, right? And that is why, mark my words, before this gen ends, one of the other console manufacturers will have Game Pass as well. I'm not saying it's PC, but one of them will. Why? Because Microsoft will keep pushing the envelope. Keep pushing. And for those who are on there saying, oh, well, if they do buy this company or that company, then we'll have, there's regulatory people will talk about monopoly. Sorry, bro, that's not even close to the truth. Yeah. They could buy Embracer Group, and if you don't know who Embracer Group is, look them up. They could buy Embracer Group and Take-Two, both of them, and still nobody would have anything to say because the market is so big. Yes. And that would still keep them a tiny fraction of that big old market.
Yeah, Embracer Group has over 75 studios.
Yes, and Microsoft could buy them tomorrow.
Right,
and it would still not matter.
People are like, oh no, wait a second, they're cornering the market. Trust me, they're not even remotely close.
Not even close.
Not even close.
Yeah. So my take on all of this is, this is the master plan. You're seeing it happen. Keep an eye out. It's happening.
Here's an interesting. I'm going to bring this to Everborn. Brett Bingham. Now, I'm going to get to all the super chats, folks. I trust me when I tell you, you don't owe me a dime, and I got to give you the proper shout out. But Brett Bingham drops a $5 super chat, and he says this, and this is super. I'm going to hand it. I'm the quarterback. I'm going to call hike, and I'm handing everyone hand you the ball. He says, and this is very striking. On 9/20/21, I think he actually, 9/21/20, he does have it correct. I had it backwards. Was the day that the Bethesda acquisition was announced. Just so happens they're having this powwow very, very close, folks, to the thing. Listen, now you are Everborn, sometimes the pushback for Voice of Reason. You had some very interesting things to say in the green room prior to us going. Why don't you think this is going to happen?
Well, firstly, I want to take a minute to shout out a community member, Xbox University. He has been beating this drum. He's been creating memes of Xbox plus Take-Two and saying it's gonna happen, and everybody has laughed at him. The community's
been beating him up on it. Yes,
I never even heard of him, so I'm gonna follow him.
No, give him a follow. He's a cool dude.
Give him a follow for sure. Yes.
But he's been beating this drum since before it was in the news. He just believes in his heart of hearts that it will happen. I, unfortunately, on the other hand, think that there is no chance that this happens. It is not because Microsoft can't afford to spend 26 to 30 billion on Take-Two Interactive. It is because I think that the mergers and acquisitions department at Microsoft has to do a cost-benefit analysis. And they are going to say, do I spend 25 to 30 billion dollars to get, yes, one of the biggest IPs in gaming, Grand Theft Auto, or two of the biggest IPs, because they'll get 2K games. They'll get
there's NBA a lot of IP there, a lot of IP. But continue. Go ahead.
Sure, but they got more IP from Bethesda for a third of what they'd have to spend. But my point is,
you tell me a game that made $4 billion in one calendar year.
I understand that.
Yeah, with the exception of Minecraft, tell me another game that's in the top 10 every month.
But guess what? They paid $2.5 billion for Minecraft. So again, what I'm saying is, if the goal is to consistently have content in Game Pass, do you spend this much money to get what is basically evolved into a service game, GTA Online, and what we all agree should be evolved into a service game, NBA 2K? And I know they will get Borderlands, and I know they will have the rights to Max Payne, and maybe with the change from this, they could buy Remedy, and then they could make a new Max Payne. Sure. But what I'm saying is, if I am the bean counters at Microsoft, I am saying,
bro, that's just my opinion.
No, cool. But what I'm saying is that they will say, and this is what I would say. I'm not saying I'm smarter than anybody, or when I say, I'm not saying I'm as smart as the people at Microsoft, but I think that they would say, we could buy WB Games and Sega and have money left over to buy Capcom for that kind of money.
GTA is bigger than everybody.
I understand that, but how many subscriptions will GTA drive versus buying 3 publishers for the same price?
105 million
that have high-profile IP.
Yeah, it would just look at the sales of Grand Theft Auto, a game that released in 2013. Yeah. It's still in the top 10 NPD.
They gave GTA away for free on the Epic Game Store to everyone who wants it. It's still number 1 on PC every freaking month. New children are born who buy that game fresh every month. Like, what is going on?
I completely understand that, but I just think that they could do more with the money that it would cost to get Take-Two, and I think that is the calculation.
And I think you're also minimizing it only to GTA. There's a lot of IP there, man. BioShock used to be tip of the spear for a long time.
I love it.
You would get
a lot of IP there.
You'd get Borderlands, you'd get NBA 2K, and could they even make NBA 2K exclusive? Because that they'd have to deal with the NBA contract.
It wouldn't be exclusive. They would leave
No,
it.
yeah.
They would leave it cross-platform.
And
It'll probably be like your Minecraft
They would
situation.
just throw it in Game Pass and make money. That's all. They would do.
Yeah, that's
the
right.
money maker is GTA Online, and that would stay cross-plat because it's a service game.
Yeah, but GTA proper would not be. See that's the
Is
difference.
GTA proper ever coming out?
I mean, look, again,
point.
this is a conversation that we could probably spend another 3 hours on. But I just think that the size of GTA as an IP cannot be denied. Like I said, you can listen. I mean, think about the potential for this for a second. And I'm not saying that you're wrong. I love the pushback. I absolutely think that we need that. You leave GTA Online multiplayer, right? Right, just like Elder Scrolls Online and the rest of these other games, right? The legacy titles, right? That's still making money for Microsoft proper hand over fist. Now you take GTA 6, the single player aspect, and you say, well, folks, we're really sorry, but if you want to play GTA Online, we're going to give you an update free of charge. Microtransactions are still standing. But if you want to play Grand Theft Auto 6, you got to play it on Xbox, wherever Game Pass is, because they'll do the Phil Spencer quote, PC, wherever. And all I'm saying is that if that is announced, all you have to do is look. I'm saying 6 months. It would probably be sooner than that. I say within a 6-month time frame, they would go from 30 to 90 million subscribers in Xbox Game Pass almost overnight because of GTA by itself. If you start talking 2K in Game Pass for free, and that's what people are going to look at it. I got to pay $15 a month and I get all these games, including Grand Theft Auto 6 and the next 2K whatever, and BioShock and Borderlands, whoever.
You think those browsers, the browsers that are both hidden in the PS5 and the Switch right now, you think they won't become unhidden as soon as they own Take-Two? All of a sudden, don't buy theirs. The browser will let you play here on our console.
Yes,
that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
As soon as this happens, if that were to happen, all of a sudden those browsers that are hidden become unhidden.
This would be the biggest move. Like, look, folks, let's talk about history. Okay, don't take Boom's word for it, or Sante's, or anyone on the panel. Let's just talk about what we have heard. Okay, after the Bethesda deal, the dust settled, right? What did we all hear from numerous people in the industry in the know? That Jeff Grubby Grubs, right? Friend of this show.
Jeff Grubby Grubs.
Right? You can thank Greg Miller for that. I love Greg. Sorry.
The man with the greatest hair in the gaming community.
Indeed. Yeah, he does have a mane. I want to just run my hands through it. I really do. And Jeff, if you're listening, brother, please come back on the show. But I won't run my hands through your hair. But Jeff himself said that the next purchase from Microsoft would be bigger than ZeniMax Bethesda, and it would not be a studio, it would be a publisher. And my goodness, if this happens, this is a game changer, pun totally reflected. I know everyone, we're going to get back to you. I want to keep the train moving. I want to go to Middle-Aged Gamer Guy. Looking from... We're all simple folk here, right? We don't have multimedia. I'm podcasting out of the corner of my living room here, for Christ's sake. I mean, the background should be games, and all you see is peacocks. So I'm not a millionaire, right? But, shout out to Mrs. Boom. She decorates the house nice, and peacocks, they're majestic animals. So I'm okay with it. For you, looking at the overall size and scope of what this could do, what are your opinions, bro?
Okay, first of all, I want to address a couple things because I was a little bit down the line there, and I just want to address what some other people said. What Everborn was talking about in terms of, let's say, the investors and stuff like that. Now, there was something that was very interesting that actually came out of Microsoft, not Xbox, Microsoft. And this was in October of 2020. They said to their investors in an investor call that they said, be prepared for the Xbox division to make major investments. This was after Bethesda
Yes,
was
that is
already
correct.
said.
Yes.
These guys are already, like when you hear the executives are like, oh yeah, when you guys hear of a delay, we've known about it for 6 months or whatever, right? Their investors know what's going on next year.
Yeah.
Okay, because they need to know where they're going to put their money on what's going to be moving forward. Okay, so that's what they said that in October of 2020. Be prepared for major investments within the Xbox division. Obviously, these kind of things do not happen overnight. It's not like they call Take-Two and they'd be like, hey guys, can we buy it? They're like, yeah, okay, sure. And then they announce it tomorrow. This takes months and months, if not years sometimes, to iron out the details. You've probably got one army. It's probably like Lord of the Rings. You got an army of lawyers here and an army of lawyers there, and they got to meet in the middle, right? So there's a lot of moving parts that for these things to get done. Now, another thing I want to address very quickly is you look at what I like to call, what Game Pass is doing is that slow climb. Okay.
Yeah.
That slow climb of success. However, what do all these companies do that eventually they get the big push, as I like to call it, to put them on top and start making that big money? And in order to do that, you got to roll the dice hard. And so now you look at something like, for example, my biggest, the one I model everything after is not Netflix. It's Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Disney Plus in the first month started off with like 44 million subscribers, something like that, right? Okay, that's incredible. It's unbelievable. But it's Disney. Everybody in the world knows Disney. What pushed them from 44 to 100 million, I swear, within a month was The Mandalorian. Within a couple of months.
Yes,
Was
couple
the
months.
meteoric rise of The Mandalorian, and then hot on the heels of that, you've got WandaVision.
Yeah, all the MCU stuff. Yep.
And the MCU stuff and the announcements of all those things. It went to 100 million. Like it was unbelievable. Yeah. That's what I call the big push. And what that is that now you're showing your cards. That's the power move. Something like this is, as we've said before, the power move. This is the big move that Boom is 100% right. GTA alone would put you over 100 million subscribers on that alone. Now, what I can see them doing, absolutely, like with something like the GTA Online, Red Dead Online, don't forget about that. That's making money too. Okay, not a lot, not as much as GTA, but still, that'll still be everywhere. Yeah. I could see like the GTA games, but here's the other thing. Actually, scratch all that. Look at a situation like Indy Jones. There's rumors out there that it might actually stay multi-plat because of maybe like some previous deals done with Disney, whatever, right? You look at something like that. Let's say it continues to be multi-plat. That's not the draw. The draw is you could spend 60 or 70 bucks over there for that game, or you could get it day one on Game Pass. Game Pass is still the draw because it doesn't it's a win-win for me. Yeah. I don't care if it goes to PlayStation. I don't care if it goes to PC. I don't even care if it goes to Nintendo. If I'm getting it in Game Pass day one, I'm the big winner. Yeah. Okay, that's the way I look at it. So therefore, you stay subscribed to Game Pass, and then you're going to get other people to jump on board too. Once they all figure this all out, and then all of a sudden I'm like, why am I buying all these games? I can just go to Game Pass. It's right there. And see, that's the draw. That's, like I said, that's the big power move. That's how you get people into the ecosystem. That is how PlayStation, I bought every PlayStation, let's face it, okay? PlayStation 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, and 5 now. I've had them all, and a PSP for crying out loud. However, what sold me on the PS4, it was that moment that, that Mooch has basically immortalized was like, Joel kicked the peach over to Ellie while playing a guitar, and Ellie picked it up and took a bite out of it. And that was like 5 years before the game came out. I bought the PS4 for that.
Yeah.
Because I knew it was coming. That was the power. Like, to me, those were power moves. God of War, Spider-Man. Those are the power moves that got people to buy the PlayStation and get in that ecosystem and get their hooks in them and keep them there. Now that I've got all that out of the way, let's look at like some of the clues that could possibly work out here. Every time that Microsoft either makes an acquisition or at least some kind of a something with Game Pass, usually those games have ended up, like some of their previous games have ended up in Game Pass. Now, if you look at what's ended up in Game Pass, Borderlands 2, the Handsome Jack Collection, NBA 2K, Kerbal Space Program, GTA 5, twice, I might add, Red Dead Redemption, Red Dead Online. Are you seeing a pattern here, folks?
I am.
How many Take-Two games is that? That's 7 already. So you look at a situation like that, they obviously have good rapport with these people, right?
Yep.
So another thing that could possibly lean towards this, it's an American company based out of Manhattan, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
There's another hurdle gone because now you're not dealing with foreign governments and this and that and all the other nonsense that goes with it. Makes the acquisition just that much easier to swallow, okay, in terms of the legalities of it, right? Because now you're not dealing with another country and this and that and blah, 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 and all this other nonsense. Okay, American company, American corporation. They both
Wasn't there rumors they were trying to at some point acquire Randy Pitchford's company, but they just didn't want Randy Pitchford?
Yep.
Wouldn't this be a roundabout way of basically doing that without getting him? Because now you don't just own him, you own his parent company, so you can keep it moving
Randy
while
Pitchford
getting all the
is
benefits.
Like, he really is a gangster. I actually think he's the Suge Knight of the video game industry. Like,
so it seems based on some of the reputation that we've heard about
he
it.
really
Yes.
is. So, so anyways, now look at the situations like you want to talk about what's going to be, let's say, exclusive, what's not exclusive. You look at games like Borderlands, BioShock. You can get away with those as being exclusive because, yes, they're big games with a big following. However, they're not much bigger than, let's say, like an Elder Scrolls. An Elder Scrolls, I can almost guarantee is going to be exclusive. So there's that. Now, the only thing is that, you know, and like I said before, you got the GTA, like let's say next gen GTA Online, next gen Red Dead Online. Those are big for Game Pass engagement because, you know, you get people in there, people are going to be playing it and all that. Sid Meier's Civilization, there's another one. They own that too. Take-Two has that too. That's got a monstrous following on the PC side, and then people on the console as well, and then people can keep going back into it.
And they already have fans of that Civilization because they have Age of Empires fans who would love to have Civilization in their camp. You know,
exactly.
It all works. You're absolutely right.
Again, I just keep coming back. Just one thing though, like remember Microsoft's largest acquisition. We're not talking about the Xbox division. We are talking about Microsoft writ large, the whole 26.2 billion for LinkedIn. And fun fact, they didn't really buy LinkedIn for the social networking, applying for jobs thing. They bought it to have a presence in Silicon Valley, but they really bought it for the CRM data.
But that's why they haven't touched it. That's why they haven't really messed with it at all. They bought it for the data that's there
from Salesforce.
Yes. Well, GitHub as well.
Yes, concern trolling about the money. Like, how's Microsoft going to make any money? Oh my God, it's too much. No, you know, just stop. Look at the company you're dealing with. Now, think about this. About 6 weeks ago, Microsoft actually was going to buy a voice recognition technology, voice recognition tech for medical procedures.
Yeah.
$24 billion.
Yes.
Just so you could say, like, pass the scalpel, whatever the hell it was for, right?
It's the same company. It's the same company that provided the underlying hardware, the underlying software that built Siri. So, the voice dictation, that's where it's from. Yeah,
that's the one that they just bought.
Yes.
Now here's
I
the
thought
last
they
thing
bought that for like $2 billion.
No, after they did the Dragon dictation stuff, they pivoted to the what do you call it, the medical market. So now they're all about medical, like the Dragon dictation company. So buying them, now they automatically own all the medical environment, and then of course the first thing they do is push Azure. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna say one last thing here. The good thing is, let's say you make the acquisition, that back catalog is epic.
It's ridiculous.
Okay,
what you can dump into Xbox Game Pass almost insanely. You're talking 100+ titles.
Yep, and then on top of that,
to me, that's the play though. The play is work out a deal with them for Game Pass. I don't think you got to buy them completely outright. It's just you could buy so much more.
Hold on, Everborn, real quick. Just what's his name? One bad mother pointed that out in the chat a while ago, and that is very true. It is what animated them in on the whole Bethesda thing, and it could be still what's animating them now. Tencent is a huge looming force.
Yes.
These things are up for sale.
Yes.
They are up for sale. And there are very few who can buy them. Tencent's a huge, looming, scary little black statue force in the background. Right. So to keep them from Tencent, Microsoft could be making moves.
Hey, to
People
go to
keep saying
KSI,
about
I
the
normally
Chinese
don't.
government.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. With the ban on the time children can spend gaming,
Oh, they won't
those
do
big
that
companies like Tencent, their number one goal right now is going to be to attack the Western audience
Yes.
and
Of course.
take control there because they can't do
100%.
that.
And the
in
thing
their
is,
own
people
region.
have the fear, which they
Yep.
should, justifiably, with the Chinese government and all their shenanigans. The thing is, at the same time, though, if the Chinese show up at your doorstep with a huge bag of cash, you're just going to be like, Chinese government, what? And then they're going to take off to Tahiti, for Christ's sake.
Most people
Bring in
don't.
my
Most people
guys.
don't
They don't
even
give a
take them
shit.
seriously right now. They don't take them very seriously right now. But
should.
I bet you, 2022, 2023, you're gonna be talking about the 10-cent console in your home because they're coming for you.
And that's the thing. So now, the
Not
other
in my
thing-
home.
Last thing I want to say, please, with
Good job,
Microsoft's
buddy.
money-
Fight the good fight.
Oh yeah, Microsoft's money. Resurrect your LA Noirs. Resurrect the darkness. Resurrect.
Oh my goodness, he said the darkness. Awesome.
You're damn right.
Yes.
Darkness. Yeah. Max Payne.
Great movie. Great game, I should say. Darkness
Bully.
2 was amazing.
You know that Take-Two's kind of, they're kind of skittish right now with Rockstar. They're pissed off with them. One of the brothers left, and one of the reasons was because they weren't cranking out enough games. Okay, I mean, yeah, they're making revenue off of GTA Online or whatever, but they actually got into a big thing about it. They're like, where are the games? Like, you guys are like, once every 6-7 years, they ain't gonna cut it, and so
Which
they're getting
is
pressured.
not
One of the brothers
conducive
left.
to Game Pass. That's
Yeah,
what I'm
but
saying.
again,
They don't release games.
They have
at a
enough
steady enough clip.
Look, real
Yep.
quick, let me read you the studios that they currently own here, folks. Okay. Rockstar Games, 2K, Private Division, Social Point, Ghost Story Games, Cat Daddy Games, Cloud Chamber, Fraxis Games, Hangar 13, Visual Concepts, Parrot Games, Blue Fire Cookie Technology, and Dots. That is what Take-Two currently owns. And KSante had dropped it into the private chat. The amount of studios and IPs that they own, it wouldn't just be for Grand Theft Auto. It's a part of the plan, but this is a big picture power move. Everyone in the chat, everyone in the panel keeps saying power move. Microsoft is in a position to make a power move to change the industry, so you play on their service, not their box, their service.
Remember that Midnight Suns game everybody's excited about? Yeah, that's part of up for grabs in this too. Firaxis Games, my friend.
Mafia 13 makes Mafia.
Yeah.
And I loved all of them. I don't care what anybody
It
says
would
about
be
Mafia 3.
the biggest move, but again, middle-aged gamer guy, I want to just keep it moving if you don't mind.
I'm done.
A complete knocked it out of the park. Wandering Dutch, I want to drop this onto you. Directly after the announcement of the Bethesda deal, which shocked the industry, Satya Nadella was interviewed by the New York Times, and I quote, said specifically, "It's easier for us to go out and buy a publisher and a developer than spend the money to make one from scratch." And this is another one of those potential moves that why should they spend making a team to bring you a Grand Theft Auto to X type of game? Why not just buy the horse, buy the farm instead of buying the horse? And I think that this is a move that would be even bigger. We've heard it. People have talked about it. What are your thoughts on them potentially owning Take-Two Interactive?
Well, yeah, to Satya Nadella's point as well, in terms of easier to buy than to build, that is probably true. You've seen them build the initiative from scratch. Not only did they build the team from scratch, the studio from scratch, but also the building and the property that they own, depending on the engines that they use, whatever it is, that building that from scratch just took more time and more investment than what it would be buying a studio just outright. Fact. Because you have to build a team around a team. When you're buying a publisher or a studio outright, you've got a team that already works together. They have a structure. They have a plan already. When you're starting something from scratch, you need to find the leader and work down. That's the opposite way that you normally do with anything else. You talk to the leader who has an operation of managers and sub-managers and then so on and so forth. It goes all the way down to the bare bones. including whatever engines that they use. But in terms of investment, I do want to go back to the other side. Yes, you have the Game Pass model, but Microsoft are not averse to investing in something that they know will increase player base, increase active live users, increase engagement, and increase rolling revenue and rolling generated revenue. Going back to Minecraft as the base, like Everborn mentioned there, of course, purchased for 2.5 billion. Total revenue so far from the company since purchase has been 3.5 billion.
All right.
The player base has increased since purchase from its 4 million mark now to over, and this is across mobile and mobile Chinese edition and the standard edition, to over 693 million players.
Wow.
Worldwide since purchase, and it is generating on average anywhere between 300 and 400 million just on the Xbox / normal console editions, and an additional 100 million per annum on mobile.
Wow.
That is just a small indie IP. When you're having a look at GTA specifically by itself, and of course, like we mentioned, Take-Two have many, many more titles and IPs to go along with it. But if you have a look at the service or live service thing that Xbox loved going forward as well, because that increases player engagement. More engagement in users grows more revenue or rolling revenue. Again, future concurrent revenue that can drive you forward. GTA Online itself made up 1/3 of the annual revenue for Take-Two. They had roughly 3.1 billion for the last fiscal year in revenue, and GTA Online made up 935 million of that. By itself, that is not including, of course, then you've got Rockstar, then you've got Red Dead Redemption 2, their online system, which brings in online revenue nowhere near the same amount. Their online player base is something like 12 to 15,000 per month active users, whereas then you've got the active user base on GTA Online of anywhere between 110 and 200,000 players actively playing. Again, on the Minecraft front, you've got 130 million active users concurrently playing the game.
The numbers that you are spewing are giving the bean counters nightmares. Let's just say that.
They are insane.
No doubt.
So when you're looking at why Microsoft are investing on this, or why they could be investing in Take-Two, they're looking at not only just, is this going into Game Pass, but what are we going to look at in terms of its annual investment? Take-Two as a whole will annually give Microsoft 3.4 billion or 3.1 billion in return year on year across their IPs. Now, if they're investing 12 to, well, what was the value? 18 billion, did you say? I think something like that. You're talking about another couple of billion on top of that.
18 billion. Ultimately, it'd be about 25, when it's all said and done.
As of today, Dutch, and I checked this morning through Yahoo with their numbers, $17.7 billion as of this morning.
Yep.
Their market
and a bunch of people say, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say, if you have a look at the extras that come along with the IPs as well. Now, the numbers I quoted for Minecraft did not include the fact that Minecraft had then a spin-off series which was that choice selecting game. I forgot what it was called, of course, where it was like a story mode. Minecraft story mode
from Telltale. Yeah.
Which also was, again, a revenue generator. You then had the secondary input of revenue that comes alongside of it, outside of the game itself, which is the merchandise, T-shirts, books, guidebooks, online revenue, the advertisement it garners, the fanfare, all of the different little players, Lego sets, you name it. It's the overall and wider approach of where you're getting the revenue from. GTA is very much the same. That has got so much in terms of possible investments. Red Dead's got exactly the same thing, right? Where can we branch out on? Minecraft ended up in Minecraft Dungeons, another whole branching story. What can we do with that? The use case scenario for where they can expand the universes of all these games for Microsoft is what they're looking for in investment. Right, okay, these IPs, yeah, okay, so how can we make this into an investment above and beyond what they're already providing? We know we're getting 3.4 billion per annum back from them in revenue. Great. Okay, that makes a good start. So when we've invested 22 billion into them immediately, when we've already purchased them, we're making 3.4 billion back within a year anyway. Great. What can we do to enhance that even more?
So Dutch, just one thing though, right? On that 3.373 billion that they did for fiscal year 21.
Yep.
Their actual profit though, their net income was only 588 million, right?
Correct.
So they had to spend 2.8 billion just to get that 600 million that they got. So that is a lot to make up. It feels like it don't make sense. Not what you're saying. I'm saying the purchase doesn't make sense.
The one thing that'll be negated immediately that you have to take into account as well with companies and acquisitions like this is their online services are held together and maintained purely out of their own pocket. So their annual revenues automatically take a dent because they're already servicing their own online infrastructure, which is a substantial outlay for something of that size. If you're getting acquired by a company that is essentially an online infrastructure in itself and has one of the greatest kind of server infrastructures in the world, that is no longer going to be an issue, and no longer is it going to be an outlay for Take-Two to kind of have to worry about in terms of its return of investments. Microsoft just simply say, bring that over. We'll just take over whatever issues you have with your online services. We've got that. We've got that sorted, no problem. So then that particular outlay that says, we spend potentially 1 billion just servicing this, no longer becomes a money outlay. Then you've made another billion back in that particular profit margin. So in terms of what it is that goes into running these businesses, as soon as that running cost is gone, Microsoft swallows that up anyway as part of that particular investment. That's part of this. We've already got all this sorted. And their maintenance costs don't fluctuate or differ just because they've increased or added another department. Their maintenance costs will always remain the same for Microsoft regardless. They've still got those server rooms. They've still got all these data centers. They're not changing. They're forever increasing. That's something that Microsoft as a whole maintain. So that's not something they have to worry about. So,
and then I'll give you this point. Another thing added to that is the increase in subscriptions, right?
Yes.
So
I don't think it's going to be. It's not certainly not going to jump to the 100 million per se. But in terms of its pushing power, GTA is just ridiculous. And I'm talking for the low end. Like, as much as families say, I'm never going to let my kid play GTA online, or I'm never going to let my kid play GTA. Like, I'll go into
Dutch.
So many parents I know.
I'll push you back on that, Dutch. You really think that if Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out, holiday season 2024, you're telling me that will not push them into astronomical places?
Well, I think it will.
It'll push them substantially, 100%. But will it gain 70 million subscribers?
No, not overnight.
For sure. You know why it will though?
Could be the market leader at that point. You never know. We don't know what's going to happen in 3 years.
I think initially though, if that happens, and if this goes back to a previous point Tempest Sun made with regards to advertising. If Microsoft then advertise these things correctly, which is what they still need to improve on, then your subscriber count goes up significantly.
Yeah.
The problem you've got initially isn't just because you're getting this company, because of the wider, when I mentioned specifically someone, again going back to PlayStation and Xbox, but when I mentioned to my friend, he was like, all right, well, is the next Fallout going to be on PlayStation? No. Why not? Because Microsoft now own Bethesda, so it's not going to PlayStation. Does the outer casual person know? No, the outer casual person has no idea what is happening.
So Dutch, to your point though, right?
Yeah.
In itself, will it drive 70 million subs? No, but if you add GTA with Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout, let's say Halo's a hit, and that is the thing that would
Yeah.
drive it. It's the
Correct.
it's a halo effect. No pun
The thing
intended.
is the word needs to get out. The word needs to get out in terms of how Microsoft advertises this stuff going forward. Like they need, and I'm talking worldwide advertisement, not just in the US, because in the Europe it is poor,
abysmal,
really poor. But the way they advertise things, like nobody knows, like unless you're within the gaming community quite deeply in the UK, nobody has the blindest idea that Bethesda games are now only on Xbox.
Yeah, but they'll find that out when they get to GameStop.
Well, but here's a flip side of that, though.
Or game in the UK.
But here's a flip side of that equation, though. At the end of the day, though, people do know Bethesda games very well in Europe and everywhere else. So the hope here is that not only will Xbox be influencing these companies will influence Xbox. So I'm pretty bullish on the fact that, like, and I think I said this before. I got a chance to speak with Aaron Greenberg and Pete Hines and all them. With the conversation I had with them a little while ago, I'm pretty bullish that they're filling the gaps on Microsoft's marketing. And I have a feeling that these conversations are being had internally by them, saying, hey guys, you haven't been doing it right up until now. Here's how we do it at like Bethesda or all these other instances. So historically, all that information that we have that shows them, clutching defeat from the jaws of victory, that may be changing as well because they're getting good influences in,
Yeah, I think it will gain them a significant rise, especially all of that stuff when the word gets out correctly and when it starts to get out properly. Over time, yes, that subscriber count will skyrocket. Will it immediately do it upon acquisition? No, it's going to be a few years, and it's going to take a few years. Specifically, Microsoft need to get on top of their advertisement for that to happen.
100%. They definitely
these game shops as well, Boom, especially in the UK. As you know, with GameStop in the UK, a lot of the people that work in these game shops these days, they play games, but they don't really pay attention to anything. Like, you can talk to them about, like, this is no joke. I was in a game store the other day, and some guy was talking to this couple, and he walked past me. I don't know why he asked me this question, but he was like, "Do you happen to know what the difference is between the Oculus Rift, the Oculus Quest, and the Rift?" I said, one's and this is the guy that worked there. I said, one's mobile based, the other one is PC specific. I said, that is it. One of them you need a high spec PC, the other one's mobile based. He was like, "Oh, I didn't know that." I said, "You work for the company. Why don't you know? Like, you should know this stuff. It's the basics." And this is the problem you've got when you're talking about Game Pass and PlayStation Now and all of this stuff. What they're going to say is, this is the PlayStation, these are the games. This is the Xbox, this is Game Pass. You get hundreds of games on Game Pass. Great. Do they explain what kind of games they are? Vast majority of the time? No. Do they know who was on? Nah, I don't care. You got all the Xbox games
on. What you're saying there, Dutch, that's the criticism I was making of Microsoft. Because you know what Sony will do? They will get their guys to come to the store and just be at the store. Like, I've met Sony guys who are literally representatives from Sony at like MediaMarkt, because I was in Holland and they were there and they're showing off the new PS4 or whatever. They won't let your scrubby, workers who are there talk the message. Yeah. No, they'll make sure they bring their own people there to make sure the message is proper. That is where you got to commend PlayStation. Sony is good at that stuff. Microsoft needs to learn more of that.
Yeah, their marketing is on point. It is absolutely everywhere. Specifically in Europe, it is everywhere.
Very true.
Every bus stop, every cinema, you name it, TVs, everything.
Even ball games,
everywhere. All the soccer games, everything.
Yeah, it's crazy. Listen, folks. Thank you. We have one more. We have Tempest Son, and Tempest, I want to come to you from a different point of view. Obviously, you've heard everyone's opinion from a consumer's point of view, which is how I'd like you to I'd like you to tackle this, and how you've normally tackled this conversation before in many shows past, as being just a consumer. If you can say to said consumer that the next, and I have to keep going back to Grand Theft Auto, as great as BioShock and 2K and Civilization and all these other games are, right? They're all fantastic. They all have legacy IPs. They all have a tremendous amount of fans. There is nothing in the gaming space that we currently call home like Grand Theft Auto. It has a lore that dates back to the PlayStation 1 with Grand Theft Auto 3 when it was, obviously there was a 1 and 2, but those weren't taken that serious. 3 is
I played
where
1 and 2. I love those top down.
Yeah,
So did I.
I was
Yes.
playing
Me
Grand
too.
Grand
Yes.
Theft London
I
on the
played
PC,
on PC.
like Grand
Yeah.
Theft
Grand
London.
Theft London was amazing. Yes,
But
indeed.
here's the thing: we're a bunch of old men here, so we understand where it came from. Most gamers
top
these
down.
days are they understand what Grand Theft Auto 5 is. Again, 150 million for a game that came out and launched in 2013. We're now 8 years later, and it's still selling, and it's going to sell more because they have a next gen version.
I don't even know who's left to sell to at this point.
Me too. I think everyone has
Insane, right?
Yeah, the hell
And they
is-
still find new people to buy it. Like, it's
Shark card.
insane.
You
We
buy
have
the game,
all
you get a shark
purchased
card.
that
Yeah.
game 6 times already, and we don't even know how I spent the money. That's the truth. But how big of a deal would this actually be for Xbox, specifically Xbox Game Pass, if you can tell said group, regardless of who that demographic is, that Grand Theft Auto 6 is exclusive to Xbox and Windows PC?
Man, I don't even. I'm even having a hard time thinking how to tackle this question because it's all good. I mean, if it were to happen, I don't know the financials. That's not my forte. I don't.
Sorry, go ahead. I love when people do it. It reminds me of how great of a name I picked.
It is.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's not my forte. So I don't know. As a consumer, listen, gaming's not the only thing I do. So I tell you what, when Game Pass started this year, my gaming habits have changed, and I have bought games, and I was happy for the games that I did buy. But there is so much quality content dropping on Game Pass now. I have pretty much changed as a gamer. I pay for 2 Game Pass subscriptions, Ultimate. My wife and I. We both have it because there's every now and then there's some conflict there where you can't have 2 people playing the same because we play together.
Real quick, Tim. I don't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
Like I said, I had a conversation with them. That is a thing that's
family,
coming.
right?
You will be happy soon. They said it point blank.
Family
They
plan.
got something for you.
Yes.
I'm
It's
paying
coming for you.
as well.
Yes.
Because my kids and myself, my wife. So
Yeah,
it's
good.
Yes. Please
Good.
continue. It's going to make you happy. Go ahead.
Well, I happily pay for it. My wife and I collect statues. I mean, we're not King David over here, but that's the goal. We're collecting.
Very
We
few
collect
are King David.
statues. I got like
Indeed.
multiple pets. I got 4 kids. I got I have things to pay for. So I am so thankful that Game Pass is a thing. And if they were to get Take-Two, it's not just Grand Theft Auto. It would end up being all their games. And for me personally, because I do know what Take-Two owns, the amount of studios that they have. To me, when you start adding this many studios, it's the workforce, it's the power. Like right now, as many studios as Xbox has, most of them, we know what they're working on, and they're working on something. So as many studios and teams as they have, they need more. Why? Because they have so much. They have so much IP, so many good characters, franchises. So this would just open it up. Maybe then they could have their Banjo-Kazooie studio like Boom wants so much,
Yes.
I mean, it would be a win-win, I think. Listen, Microsoft recently, the reason I say Microsoft, not just Xbox, is because Satya Nadella, the CEO, said we're all in on gaming. He said a little bit. He didn't say we're thinking about this gaming thing more. So he said we're all in. And recently they've tried to buy multiple $10+ billion deals or companies, and they've fallen through. I think Microsoft needs to spend money. I don't know all the I don't want to get any of the taxes, this, that, political, but I think Microsoft has to spend some money now while they can before things change.
Yeah.
So they have to spend. So, what better than do it on? I mean, listen, it would be a big deal for me, but this is not. I'm more on the Everborn side here. I would rather them soak up a Capcom, a Sega, whatever. I mean, for the price that Take-Two would be.
Sega, Remedy,
Exactly.
and WB Games. You can get all of that.
Yeah, I agree. Now, even though that's what I would want, I agree with Boom in this sense, where GTA is is so big, everybody plays it at some point. It is that big. And to say that that's exclusive, I think they wouldn't just be buying like GTA, they'd be buying gaming, period. Everybody would take note at that point. That might, what Mag said, really hit home for me. And it's true. Disney Plus, when they first launched, it was like, yeah, whatever. They had like their 30, 40 million. And then after they released a few shows, they instantly jumped up to that like 90 million. Now they're probably like 100 plus.
It was within 2 months, man.
Yeah. So with a GTA, that would 100% happen. No doubt in my mind. 100% that would happen. They would get up to those numbers. And then you're just talking about such a large amount of money monthly. They would start making their money back slowly on that investment. And let me tell you something. If they were to have Take-Two, or even in Everborn's case, and Capcom and, Remedy and all that, if they start making all this stuff exclusive, once it finally starts releasing, it's game over. And I really do feel like Nintendo and PlayStation, if they want to stay kind of relevant, they're going to have Game Pass on their system. It's the way I see things going. So I know I just reiterated what a lot of other people said, but it's all true. It's not my preferred purchase, but it would be massive, absolutely massive. So.
Tempest, just one thing, and I'm not even joking when I say Capcom, Sega, Remedy, and WB Games. You know what the market cap of Capcom is right now?
Like
less than 7 billion. It's less than that, 6.4 or something like that.
Wow.
Right? Sega Sammy, 3 billion and change.
Yeah.
Remedy, 550 million.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even if you're paying a premium over those, you're still at half the price that you would have to pay for Take-Two.
Look at Sony and Insomniac. Look at the deal they got.
That's what I'm saying. So you could buy all of those and still have, and then get WB Games and still have money left over, and you have big enough IPs with publish. I throw Square in there because you can afford that too for this price.
You buy everything. Just go ahead and buy it all.
This is what you have to spend.
What I think what I think people need to understand is NetEase and Tencent, they're coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
they are.
Yes, they are.
Don't think that they're just the boogeyman you're never going to see. They're coming. They're going to buy everything they possibly can. And trust me, even if you're a Sony guy or a Nintendo guy and you want Microsoft to stay in third place, you don't want that. You don't want those.
Isn't Tencent already here by and large? Lots of the companies that many people take for granted don't even know that Tencent owns a lot of them.
Coming from within the house.
Yeah, they own a little bit. They have their fingers in everything.
A little bit in each.
They do, right? You're right, Tempest. Yeah.
So trust me, you want, even though you might not like Microsoft, you might not like Xbox, you would want them to own a lot of these companies versus the alternative. So
the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Yep. There you go.
100%. Listen, folks, this has been an incredible. This might be considered, at least in my opinion, the best show of 2021. It's 3 hours, folks. And I'm going to just read a couple of super chats, folks. I apologize that the conversation was just so deep and we had so many people on the panel. It was very difficult to get them. I appreciate them more than you know. We had Eagles fan drop a $5 super chat, and we had a good friend of the show, Artie M, drop a $5 super chat. He's supporting Boom for a 3-hour show. We have an amazing and knowledgeable panel. Thank you for that. Paul drops a $5 super chat. Michael Cullick dropped numerous super chats, 1 for 10 earlier and 1 for 5. Brett Bingham obviously dropped a $5 super chat, I think twice. Thank you so much for that, Brett. And listen, I mean, I normally read them off, and through this thing, it's just been one. I mean, everybody on the panel has completely knocked it out of the park. This is why I put this panel together. It is literally the Avengers, and we have a returning member who helped launch this back in 2019 in a Gaming Forte to come back and join us and bring his incredible knowledge. Listen, folks, thank you so much. We had over 400 people here throughout the entire show. That is big for a very, very small program. If you are new and you enjoyed the banter, I don't beg for subs, but I can guarantee that you are going to enjoy each and every show that I put on, and I do it 4 times a week, folks. 4 times, Mondays, Tuesdays. I take Wednesdays off as a bit of a breather. I come back Thursday and Friday, take the weekend off with the missus, and we could do this back all over again. And if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing to the channel. I don't know, for some reason, it's just subs have been hard to come by. I don't understand. I'm closing on 10,000. I think a lot of people know me, and a lot of people push the content. Why I can't get subs is a bit of a shocker. But if you are new and you do like what you heard tonight, please consider subscribing to Double Barrel Gaming. And obviously, we'll do the outros. We're going to start first with our very special guest, Gaming Forte. It was fantastic to have you back here tonight. You helped launch this IP, if you will, for Double Barrel Gaming. Please sell your brand. Tell everyone where they can get your incredible opinions on a weekly basis, and where can people reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, man. Every time I come back here, I'm amazed and so pleasantly happy how great this show has continued to still be.
Thank you, sir.
One person doesn't make the show, a group doesn't make this show. It's all the people that you have rotate in and out of here every day, picking up people like Hey Asante and Everborn has definitely taken this to another level too, with the other people that was already on this channel that launched it when we all did it a couple of years ago. Yes. So I'm just happy to see that it's still heading in the same direction that we planned on heading in back then, and it's an amazing thing that you're doing. But outside of that, it's Gaming Forte everywhere: YouTube, Twitter, Xbox Live, PlayStation. Check us out, me and Slow Mo DPS podcast every Thursday night, 9 p.m. This week it will be at 10 p.m. because your boy got to sell some NBA 2Ks on Thursday night. So I will be unavailable at 9 o'clock for that show. So it will be at 10 o'clock this week. And as always, guys, I truly appreciate all of the hard work you guys put into it. It's not easy talking about stuff for 2 to 3 hours, but you guys do it in spades, and that's why I love listening to you guys.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. And Wandering Dutch, I want to go to you next, brother. You have a monster guest. And I don't necessarily mean just the size of who the personality is. He's a very, very big old man right there. You have, please tell everyone where they could check out this incredible show, who you have on the show, and where could people reach out to you on social media to strike up a conversation?
Certainly, yeah. Well, again, thank you to everybody. Awesome panel with a lot of great perspectives on again an acquisition of a massive company, but also great discussions around Sony and the cross-gen approach, should we say? But yeah, absolutely awesome show. A great chat as usual. Awesome feedback and an awesome show overall. Great to have Gaming Forte back as well as one of the founders of your show, and a congratulations again on 3 years for prime time.
Thank you, sir.
But yeah, pleasure and honor to be a part of it going forward. You can find me on Twitter at Wondering Dutch and on YouTube at Wondering Dutch. And this week we have ACG, Angry Centaur Gaming, joining us as our special guest on Midweek Mix-Up. It's at Wednesday, 2 p.m. EST or 7 p.m. British Standard Time. That'll be absolutely awesome. I'm really looking forward to that. Again, thankfully, just due to the jumping in with ACG on Iron Lords podcast, we kind of been speaking since then. So it's been a pleasure to get him on board, and he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. I've talked to him behind the scenes as well. We're trying to get our schedules together. Would love to get him on. He wants to come on, but our schedules just haven't matched. But
he should be a bit more free now. He had a lot of, because he was meant to come on a couple of weeks back with us, but he got inundated with loads of things to review.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he sure did. Yeah,
and obviously he's got almost, I think it's something close to 1 million subscribers now on YouTube. So he's a monster.
He's a monster get. So congratulations on that. And I'll be listening to that show for sure. Tempest Son, let's get you out of here. I know you got to get to the kids and everything. Please, brother, tell everyone about where they could reach out to you on social media, potentially get shot in the face by you with your outstanding online shooter skills, but also tell everyone about the model building, the Gundam building channel you have, which is incredible.
Yeah, you can find me at the Tempest Sun on Twitter. I am working on the channel. It's just more in the background type of thing. I got a lot of stuff lined up. I'm working on a big kit. I just once I start going on it again, I want it to stay going, if you know what I mean. But yeah, working on that. Hey, them shooter skills, man. Hopefully I still got it, because Battlefield's coming out, buddy. That's my one quote unquote claim to fame is I'm good at Battlefield. So I hope it stays that way. We'll find out though. But yeah, my gamer tag is Tempest Sun. Just add me on Xbox, and I don't know, maybe when Battlefield's out, we can play.
Yes, 100%. Thank you so much. And middle-aged gamer guy, let's get you on
Yes,
out of
sir.
here. I know you got to get to work, brother. How can people strike up a conversation? And if they want to hear the best voice of Canada talk about video games, what other shows are you on?
Yes, well, guys, it was a pleasure as always. Forte, it was nice to see you again, brother.
As always,
one of
brother.
Yeah, man, it was you were one of the first on this panel when I first waltzed into this show myself. But and of course to the Mr. BoomStick XL, happy 3-year anniversary on the show,
Thank you,
brother.
sir.
And guys, yes, you can follow me on Twitter at the Middle Age Game Guy. That's with a GY at the end, of course. On the PlayStation 5 when I feel like turning it on, and the Xbox Series X, you can find me at all one word, all capitals, because I don't know how to be quiet. I am the Mag, and of course, you can find me here every Monday evening, 7 p.m. Eastern. On this show right here on Primetime Gaming. Tomorrow night, you can find me at 10 p.m. Eastern on Gaming After Dark with Noof Nukem and Titan Drago. It's going to be a wild show as always. So anyways, you can catch me there. And also another quick thing about Pulse Music Media that I'm working on with my brother. He has actually now crossed 320,000 subscribers.
Wow.
So now it's unbelievable what the hell's happening over there. However, I just want to say in advance, in the next few months, keep an eye. We've got some special things coming up with certain Microsoft exclusive that's coming up. So we got something pretty hot coming around December. So we all know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, have a great evening. I'll keep you all informed when those things kind of happen. Great show as always. My old ass is completely sore now from sitting on this chair. But guess what?
I had to take a couple of off-camera breaks and stretch the old back.
Oh, dude. Well, whenever you see the camera go black on my end, you know I'm walking around because I'm just like, ugh. But anyhow, we'll see you guys all next week.
Yeah, thanks so much. And Everborn Saga, brother, please tell everyone about where they can go out and buy your incredible anime, and where can people strike up a conversation and try to have an adult one with you on social media. And please stay off that new Twitter thing. I think out of scenes, whatever the hell it's called.
Spaces.
There you go. Thank you so
We
much.
should
Yo,
do
man, this
we
show
should
today.
do a PTG spaces without all the
I will be
riffraff.
guided by you to do this. Maybe we can get us a primetime gaming spaces.
It would be huge. It would be huge. There's a lot of people in the, there's a lot of sane people that would like to take part in these things, and I think that we could. That's because we're not hosting these things. A lot of people just see the nonsense and they don't want to come. But
my little bubble's next to yours. I listen to.
Exactly. and again, I just want to point out, isn't it glad that we all agreed on every point that we said tonight, and that there were no dissenting opinions?
Oh man,
This is why we're all aboard.
Not like this.
Resistance is futile.
Not like this.
Anyway, you can find me this Thursday on YouTube at Everborn. Well, first of all, you can find me at Everborn Saga everywhere, but this Thursday on YouTube at 8, like we do every week. On the Real, we will be having special guests, Mr. King David himself, where we will be talking all things Shang-Chi. And if you have not seen it yet, don't even watch it, because we are spoiling that. So there's
I better
that.
Start going to watch it.
You better. He's going to be on mute the whole show. So then every Saturday Kay will talk about this, but 10 a.m., sometimes 12 when I'm not getting a haircut, we do the Gaming Circle podcast where we talk about stuff like this. A lot more tech heavy in that show, but I think people like it. We'll see. Come check us out. But most importantly, Everborn Saga on Xbox, PlayStation, Steam, but check out, and Twitter. I'm very active on Twitter, also not active at all on Facebook and Instagram, but you can follow me there anyway. All Everborn Saga, but check out everbornsaga.com, because we on September 13th are launching Prince of Arcadia Chapter 4. So if you want to know what happens after that cliffhanger in Chapter 3, September 13th is the time you will find out. So you can go there now. If you don't have the books, you can kind of get up to date. And on the 13th, we're going to launch Chapter 4. And then we got a new series, Everborn the Redlands, coming out in November-ish. So check us out, everbornsaga.com and Everborn Saga on Twitter and YouTube.
Definitely appreciate that, brother. And of course, last and no way least, obviously, thank you so much for always being here for us. We always have a great green room, you and I. Please tell everyone where they can reach out to you on social media, but more importantly, talk about your channel. Talk about why people should subscribe to, of course, Kay Asante. And you absolutely, I mean, the goal, folks, is to get him to 1,000 subs. He deserves it. The work he puts in is legit. And he really does know the business. So please, if you love what Boom does and you trust my opinion, please get over and subscribe to both Everborn and especially Kay Asante.
No, I appreciate that, and of course, thank you guys, chat panels for being here. Always awesome, having these great debates. It becomes the highlight of my week every time I get to partake in these conversations. So, thank you guys so much. TKO Asante on Twitter. That's where I stay as most active. But if you follow me, I'll follow you back. As was said, we do it. This Thursday is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to the Shang-Chi conversation. I haven't seen it yet, but basically everyone, and every time I ask, they tell me, "Yep, it's worth braving the Delta germs for." So I might find myself in a movie theater, if not tomorrow.
99% audience.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. I know. Yes. I will go risk. I'll go risk COVID for this movie. I will do that for you, man. For you. Besides that, Saturdays Gaming Circle podcast. Last weekend we had Mr. Badbit on. It was really awesome. We had a great PlayStation centric conversation. All the stuff that's going on, all the stuff we're excited for. Believe it or not, there's some interesting things going afoot in PlayStation world that for a while now we haven't been paying attention to. So looking forward to that. I know, Boom, you're thinking you might do an impromptu conversation after they do their showcase. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you'll produce there.
Yes, yeah, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, a couple hours after the reveal from Sony, we will be doing a 60-minute or 60, 70-minute conversation of what was shown, because it's a 40 to 50-minute show, and we are going to talk about it. We're going to see if God of War was announced, Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about it, so tune in for that. And, of course, the Xbox Factor podcast tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Awesome. 5 shows this week, folks. 5 live shows.
Busy
the man is working hard. So if you're in here and you haven't liked or subscribed yet, please correct yourself and do that immediately. And please do that and continue joining us and subscribing and watching the show. We really appreciate it. And we'll see you guys next week.
Well, thank you. And listen, folks, a big shout out to over 400 people here. It was an amazing show. The longest in the show's history, 3+ hours. And obviously, normally it's a 2-hour show, but the conversation was so striking that everyone had to be allowed to talk about it, and they did, and everyone gave incredible points. And of course, hopefully you enjoyed the 4 different games that we got a chance to see, which of course is the live gameplay you're going to get as well. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll close out the show with something that I always do because I think it's more important now than ever, and it's something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids, and he said, "Son, treat others how you want to be treated, and also it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, and I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day." So take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on the 2-hour episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Yeah, you're right about that.